Hello, it's Blakey from the Ultra Golfers Running Club, and tonight I'm marshalling at a local half marathon. It's called Night on the Edge, and it's a race from Mount Edgecombe in South West Cornwall to Rainhead and back again. It's a wonderful course, very tricky at night time, lots of steps and very slippery, but it's a great way to be out on a Saturday night. I've got my tea, and as this is the 100th episode, it's going to be a cracker. So Gary, work your socks off, Eddie, always a star. So, please sit, think, relax, enjoy whatever you do. This is 100th episode of the T-Trails podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 100 of the Tea and Trails podcast. Can you believe it? 100 episodes. Thanks Blakey from Ultra Gumpers Running Club. He started the ball rolling with these awesome intros and he sent in one for our centenary episode. Super windy and a nice cuppa up on the tops to keep himself warm. Keep those intros coming because we've nearly caught up. We've got one more in the intro cupboard and then it is bare. But before we do anything today, I think we need to thank our listeners. Eddie, you tune in week after week.
Oh yeah, baby cakes, we do.
They listen to us, Twitter on, bang on, whatever it is. Sometimes we share things with you before we do our families. I'm sure I've spilled the beans on a few race entries or shoe purchases over the years, and I don't want to get all mushy, but it is an absolute pleasure to be part of this community.
A big thank you as well to all our patrons. Price of a cuppa, a coffee. You can keep these mics on and the lights hot. Many thanks to all our sensational partners too. Check them out over on Patreon. They not only support the podcast, but also provide a discount code. So you can almost pretend it's just like a little free gift to pop under the tree. I wonder how many people are using the discount codes for self-gifting. Do you do Christmas self-gifting? Join any Patreon tier and pay annually. You will receive 10% off your subscription. Also, pop over to Summit Crazy if you'd like to buy some sensational Tea and Trails merch.
Thank you to our show sponsors, Precision Fuel and Hydration, X Miles, SHOKZ, Beat the Run and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. We use their products week after week to help us train, hydrate and recover.
Patrons can get 15% off over at Precision Fuel and Hydration. And if you're not a patron but you'd like to try Precision Fuel and Hydration, new customers can get 15% off their first order with the code T24. And if you'd like to try some Protein Rebel, use the code T15 for 15% off your first order too. Need a headphone upgrade? Use the code T10 for £10 off over at ukshocks.com.
I just got my Precision Fuel and Hydration drop ready for 2 to Helvellyn. I'm going strong on the floor gels, Eddie. That carb and electrolyte drink mix too. And then a bit of old school Kendall mint cake.
I'm not ready for this sort of chat. I'm not ready for this sort of chat.
Well, I'm thinking it's going to be about 8 or 9 hours. So it's a good test. I'm not going to be racing it. I remember last time I did 2 to Helvellyn and coming out of, does it start in Askham or Shap? Askham, I think. And running up that, up the fell side there, my heart rate was like as if I was doing a marathon effort. So yeah, slow it right down. So it's going to be more effort than long run on a Sunday when you're out with your mates, but not quite race effort. Hopefully, let's have a time prediction. 8.5 hours out on the trails. So definitely enough time if I think about 13 valleys to see if my tummy is going to go south. But yeah, not enough time to be like yourself with the Winter 200 where you've got days and days to wrestle with that. But
a shadow of your form. Oh, as Evie said, Mom, you're so thin. I've just used every cell in my body to get myself home.
Oh, bless her. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I've got to mention it. I've got one of these little soft floor gel flasks. Oh, you know, when you're in the trenches and you literally just can't do the maths. So this is awesome because it's got the carb portion deets on the side there. So yeah, I will be using that. It's a bit small for 2 days, but definitely for a workout.
Links to all our sponsors and Patreon can be found in the show notes and over at www.teaandtrails.com. Gary, I feel it's all been all about me the last week. So, but where have you been? What have you been doing?
Oh, I've got to say, you look incredible.
Cherub. Are you joking? Are you joking? When I sat in the train on the way back, I took a picture. I turned the camera around to my face and it was a really full train. I was like, oh, the poor people sitting opposite me, and I was so tired, and I just sat and I cried all the way home. So I had these enormous bags under my eyes, and I probably smelt a bit, and I was just like clutching this tea, and I just wept, or just because when you're just so tired that I just was like.
Did anybody reach out?
No, everybody just looked, going, "Do not go near that woman."
Maybe on YouTube. Crazy lady cried on the train. What?
Anyway, what did you do? You're here. You're alive.
Lots of miles with little Rexy. I'm well acquainted to my little new 5-mile loop of the village. But workout-wise, so it's 2 weeks of workouts. The 2 times 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 has proven
People are crazy for this workout now. It's gone. It's like my train video. I think people are reading too much into this workout for the deets, okay? So people were asking, like, how do we do it? What's the recovery? The good thing about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is it can be anything you want it to be. You can do it super hard. You can do it as a steady effort. You can do it twice. You can do 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, or you can do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or you can, and I have done this, Gary. This is going to blow everyone's mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I would never do that.
How are you pacing? Would you ever do it? Exactly.
No way.
The rest in between, that is totally, again, there's no rules here, guys. Tear up that rule book. You feel good? You can do short rests. You feel a bit tired? You can add in the long rest. Don't think you can do a 45-minute run. Then you can do it as like run walks. You can be anything. There's no rules. So don't think that you need to worry too much. Just go out there and just enjoy the fact that it's a super simple session and you can do it any way you want. There's no right or wrong. The only thing is you just got to pace it.
Some training plans, like I've always said, I just copy and paste them off of, say, maybe a book that I'm reading at the time. But sometimes, say, if they do it in distance, the time it takes me to do, say, a 2-mile rep is a lot slower than what it takes, say, Tom Evans or Kipchoge. So it's quite dangerous if your level of fitness isn't appropriate to the work.
If I do a distance, I chase the distance. So if I did 800s, I would race that 800.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's time, I'm a much better pacer for a steady effort over that distance, I find as well. Also, as I've got older, I'm like, I don't want to see those stats generally degenerate.
Well, that's why I love the treadmill, because you just hide behind the elevation. It's fantastic. Just get that heart rate in zone 4 and just hang on. The other session was 3 times 8 minutes, and good old Robbo. The 8 minutes was freaking me out big time, and I was going to do 8 times 3 minutes. I just thought, no way am I going to do 3 times 8 minutes. I text Robbo, because me and him are on the same training plan. He said, well, I've done my 3 times 8 minute, Gary. So I was like, right.
Love Robbo.
If Robbo has done it, not in a like, if Robbo's doing it, I'm doing it. It was inspiring. That's how I took it, like, okay.
Yeah.
We can do it. And then, well, this was probably the highlight of my fortnight, running wise at least, was the Tea and Trails Ultra Recce. I got spat out the back, Eddie. I was quite going up Skiddaw.
Oh. Join the club.
It was sad times, Eddie. Heart rate was to the roof. Halfway, I was like, I'm trying to remember what I was running at when I did Manchester Marathon. So it was above marathon effort heart rate.
What the hell were your mates doing?
Well, I don't know. They just all drifted off into the mist. It was, sad times, but the route was fun times. Some new trails for me, going out the back of Skiddaw, Bassenthwaite. I've never been around there, through some filthy, muddy fields. And I'm warning people, I don't want to put them off because I think it's sensational, but that climb up Skiddaw, the first climb, which you'll do if the route stays faithful to what it is now, it's spicy.
What would a Tea and Trails Ultra route be without like a little spicy climb, a few moments with your hands on your knees, your calves burning?
You do get a little break. It's like 2 climbs.
Yeah. And then you get to the top and you shove that cheese and pickle sandwich in your mouth and you're there in your compression shorts, just your shorts and a bell. Ding, ding, ding. Ringing your
cowbell.
And a proper bell. It's done near the start as well, so you're not doing it at the end, you know. We'll be okay, guys. We'll be okay. We'll be together.
Breathe, believe. And the podcast was late. This is really boring, actually, so I might edit all this out. But it was a VAT return. I was there on the Friday night, pretty chilled out in bed, and I just thought, I've not filed a VAT return for quite a long time. I wonder when it's due. And then it was due on the 7th, which was the next day. And I had that was like, so I tried to go to sleep, super stressed out, and I woke up on the 7th. Any experience of being self-employed, and they've got like accounting software. You've got to reconcile your bank with your books, and then when everything matches up, you get a green tick, and it's like, okay, you're kind of pretty accurate with the books. Anyway, I had so many to do. It took me all day Saturday to reconcile my VAT return, file the VAT return. And then I burnt the midnight oil big time on that Saturday night to get the podcast out. Just for reference, Lisa gets up about 4:30 in the morning to go to work. I was awake when Lisa. I was drinking coffee at like 2 in the morning. I never do that.
Oh, you and I together. Could have called me up.
Well, yeah, super stressful. That VAT return, wow. But I've deregistered from VAT if anyone cares, so I won't be doing a VAT return.
I was having a moment going, I don't do a VAT return. Am I meant to do a VAT return?
Well, when I had my own business, it was very easy to turn over above the threshold. I think you've got to do like 80 grand a year turnover.
Oh, okay. Eddie doesn't need to worry.
Yeah, well, I used to do work for museums and stuff like that, quite relatively small, but for me, quite large contracts. But now I'm just this full-time.
We're just ticking along, Gary.
Saturday, wow, this was really festive. We went to, so yeah, it wasn't all sad time Saturday because I did break away and go to a Christmas orchestra in Sunderland.
This is very highbrow cultural of you.
Well, my niece is part of the orchestra, so she was involved in it all. Absolutely sensational. I don't go to Sunderland much, so I really enjoyed going to Sunderland, but I felt really Christmas. A crammed church. I did a bit of singing too. My voice.
How is it? I can see you. It's sort of a bit of a husky.
No,
driving home for Christmas.
I'm like a teenage boy. It's like it's all over the place. Literally.
And your voice?
I think I get a bit excited and then I get a bit embarrassed. So I'm really in.
This is just classic. I'd love to go to a carol service with you. My sisters and I, because we all sang in the choir at school. The choir was a big part of like the school life, and so and we used to do big carol service at the end of school, and so we know all the high bits of the carols. So when we used to go home for Christmas, go to church on Christmas Day, and we used to sing all the high people must have been like, those girls, oh my God.
Well, yeah, literally most of the church had no idea what these carols were. So you just know when it went super quiet, people didn't know the words.
I love it.
We always have a couple of people like you just carrying the song.
Loud, out of tune and loud.
Another highlight, the lovely people at the Crook Innovate shop. They heard me mention that I didn't have any thermal mitts.
I'd love to put the clip in here if we had a heavy producer or editor. So I said, Debbie had sent me a high-vis vest because she was so worried that I'd said I hadn't got any high-vis running around the lanes. And then you went, hang on a sec.
Oi, oi.
Can I put a request out for some thermal mitts? And do you know what happened? Father Christmas was listening.
I'm still waiting for ScotRail to get me a sleeper carriage from Euston to Glasgow, wherever it goes. The lovely team up at Innovate and Crook, they sent me out some of their thermal running mitts. And Jack Scott's got his shoes, his signed shoes from the Spine Race. Up in the Crook store, there's some mitts with my name on it saying, as used by Marathon Dressage champ Gary Thwaites. So yeah, go to the Crook.
True.
Go to the Crook outlet shop, yeah. I'm not lying.
Are they soiled?
As worn by, not these are Gary Thwaites.
Oh, I thought your gloves were in the shop, like a bit muddy with questionable stains on. I was like,
talking about soiled. I listened to.
Oh no, we can't go. We're not going there yet, are we?
Well, this was wild. I listened to something. I think it was on This Morning. I'm not even too sure how old it was, but somebody was selling their soiled clothes, sweat. I'm talking about sweat. Sorry, not soiled, but their sweaty clothes to fans for quite a significant amount of money, and they were selling little vials of sweat too.
New Patreon perk for 2025.
So people, I'm not going to say who these person were, but people were like fans of this influencer or sports person, and they would purchase a T-shirt, send it to them. They would go out for a run or whatever it was.
No, I don't
pack
like
it
this.
up.
No.
They said they bought a house cash outright and a fancy car outright, raking it in. Just for the record.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Tea and Trails buff. Sweaty. You
can choose where we wear it.
I couldn't believe it. Part of me was like, I thought it was like empowering of them. They diversify their income.
Like farmers have diversified, runners are now diversifying into
Tea and Trails Sweat Patreon perk. Fantastic. I've stopped taking my phone into the bedroom. Literally, I can't stop using my phone no matter what. If I wake up, I will check my phone. That's how bad my telephone admin is. So I've gone to an old school alarm clock and the phone stays downstairs. Some of my work happens in the bedroom, Eddie. Just go to OnlyFans, was it www.onlyfans.com/heavyflex, then you'll see all my best work over there. But we keep saying how good sleep is and just ruining your sleep like that. No matter all the running you do, everything else.
I love listening to podcasts though in the night and going to sleep. But I have a sleep thingy on, sleep focused. So then nothing disturbs me.
Everything, I can just turn all that off. So, well, again, your winter downs, I was checking that if I wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's different. That's different, Gary. I needed you. Needed you to check me.
I just think I'm self-sabotaging myself. So I'm obviously super immature or whatever the phone, the content I'm creating.
You're going through a big teenage development. It's a big hormonal change this, Gary, you're going through.
But whatever that phone is giving me, like this dopamine hit, literally I can't say no to it. So I just have to leave it downstairs. On the TV front, you've never watched Better Call Saul, have you?
Bitter cold sore.
Better Call Saul. It's like it's before Breaking Bad. If you've never seen Breaking Bad, you've never seen Better Call. No. It's absolutely sensational. I'm late to the party. It's been around a little while. But if you're thinking about it's not quite family friendly, but if you've got grown up kids and you want to watch something, it's absolutely sensational. And I'm not too sure if it's clever writing or I've just gone off the main characters because they're absolutely rotten to the core. I don't want to spoil it, but every time I see them, I just want bad things to happen to them. But the other characters, the other stories along that kind of run alongside it, absolutely sensational. I'm also watching Apple TV, Bad Sisters. You seen that one?
Every week I disappoint you. I haven't watched any TV, like nothing that you just. I mean, Christmas Chronicles doesn't go off in our house, so I haven't actually.
Oh, we've shortlisted that for Christmas viewing. Christmas Chronicles.
Oh, a short list of Christmas viewing. This is.
Yeah.
I mean, you might need to share your list.
Well, Apple TV. If you got Apple TV, Bad Sisters.
Sound of Music, is that on your list?
No, Christmas Chronicles. I want to see the red one with The Rock. That's the new kind of Christmas.
I wanted to see that. And do you know what? The little varmints, they said we watched that with Dad.
Is it on streaming? I didn't realise it was a...
Yeah, I think it is. It's on Netflix, isn't it?
But yeah, that's my week or two, couple of workouts. Nice bit of TV.
Feeling good? Feeling good?
Well, ahead of 2 to Helvellyn, I'm not going to sandbag. It's not really that kind of race for me. I feel okay. I think at this point in the year, I'm not putting any real pressure on myself, but I'm adopting good habits that I can take into next year. That's what I'm at.
Gosh, I've been away and you've been sort of reading some sort of books or listening to some self-help podcasts, haven't you?
I've been listening to Daily Stoic, actually. That's quite good to start the day with Daily Stoic. But yeah, like I say, these good habits, if I can keep consistent with the gym, improve my sleep, wow, that's half the battle there. Thanks, X Miles, the one-stop kit and nutrition shop, for sponsoring our main interview. Don't forget, patrons can receive 10% off over at www.xmiles.co.uk. If you are thinking about joining Patreon, I'll give you a little kind of example. Over on X Miles, you could buy a Chorus wearable device. The 10% that you save over X Miles, I'm just saying, pays for your Patreon membership for the whole year. Just leave that with you. And have you tried the NAC nutrition peanut butter that I sent you the other week?
I saw it in my cupboard because I put it there before I went and thought, you're going to get it quite soon. You're going to get it. I'm not, when your appetite is coming, you're stoking it. And every so often you're like, oh, I'm so hungry. And then you're like, oh, but when that hits, my God, that peanut, I'm just going to open it up. I'm going to stick my finger in it.
It was delicious. It is a bit sweeter. I think with some peanut butter, it's like just the peanuts and some salt. So it's a little bit sweeter if you're not used to that with your peanut butter. Also, I use the nutrition planner to sort of avoid 2 to Helvellyn fuel, which I find really helpful. And what is also good about this nutrition planner, you can do your before, during and after nutrition. So you've got your whole day.
Can I do it for the Winter 200?
Well, it's all fantastic. Yeah, everything goes to plan. But you have this, it's like my, what was it, Lakeland 100. Goodness me. I opened up so many, because I didn't want to faff on with the wrappers. I decanted loads of the Precision Fuel and Hydration chews. They all went in the bin. Literally.
Oh, it's just the post-race. I left Lindsay and George, who I stayed with, a year's worth of fueling because I said, I can't carry this home. I could be. I was like, I can't carry it home, and I never ever want to see it again.
Well, mine was already
I've taken
opened.
it on a walk for 200 miles, and you can have it.
Well, that was because I'd already opened all mine. It's a lesson learned from going forward, even though it does a little bit of faff.
For races, it's almost worth not opening it because
if you're not going to,
you're going to dial off that train, then you might. But for training runs, you're going to shove it down, aren't you?
This week, you guys are in for a treat. Our very own Edwina Sutton.
Tricky to get her, wasn't it?
It was a nightmare. Very elusive.
Getting through to her team. Her team were tricky to get hold of, but we got her. We got
Your
her in
list
the
of
end.
demands, unbelievable.
Her rider of basically lip balm, so much lip balm to just keep, and tea just to keep the moisture there.
Well, I hope you enjoy her incredible story of the Winter Downs 200 unsupported, heavy flex unsupported run. We're not going to do the AI intro. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who you are. I wonder if it's been updated though. I wonder if it's shunted off the Marathon des Sables triumph and now you've got your Winter Downs.
One can only dream.
Why? Winter Downs 200.
We sort of talked a little bit about before, didn't we, of why? And I was struggling why before. This is a dangerous thing to do. I shunted it from my race calendar the previous year where we'd all been ready to go. And then I'd done something to my knee. And so I couldn't go at the last minute. And so it felt like a box I wanted to tick because I didn't get to do it last year. That was why it was there. The lead up into it, I mean, training wasn't anything sensational, but I had trained. I was reasonably fit, healthy, strong, no niggles, but I had been through some significant, huge life changes and lots of other things. My head was not where perhaps, like something like the spine where you need meticulous preparation and it needs to be all consuming. It wasn't all consuming. It was in the diary. And even the week before, Bryn had forgotten that I was doing it. That was how low key it was in our life. Like it was something that mum was just fitting in, which I think as well came to bite me on the bum. Not that I could really do it any differently. Not that it was just the way, if I wanted to do that race, the way that our life had been, the way it was going to fit in was I just had to get up and go and do it myself. It had no priority in our lives at that moment. I think that might have been reflected in the race. That was just the way that it was going to be, the way that I was going to approach it. So I approached it was an adventure. I decided not to have crew. Lots of people had offered, but I hadn't got anybody that was able to commit to the loop. Just the way life, just so busy, me doing everything to just get there. I just didn't have the time then to organise people and to get my head into the case. I knew that would be a reflection on the race. It was going to be an adventure. I had images of this wonderful adventure of enjoyment. And as we will go on to discuss, there was very little of that. And I saw it as another learning curve, a big learning curve. You always learn from doing any sort of race, any sort of session you learn. I knew that the Spine of the Northern Traverse had gone into it. One person, come out of it, another person, and a different athlete and also a different person, the learnings that you take from it. So I knew that even if it was very hard, it was very difficult, that I would take from it another step into this sort of like super long distance. It didn't have a proper slot somewhere, and I think that was okay. I finished pulling on every string and reserve cord of my parachute that I possibly could. And I think the last 5 miles, I literally pulled that emergency parachute and I got myself to the end only because I'd done those other races. So I knew in that moment, I knew exactly that feeling, and I knew that I was going to survive. I was going to get to the finish, but I knew what to do with myself. That's why I kind of could go into it a little bit like, right, mum's just going to go away for a week. I'll get this done and I'll come back and life goes on, rather than it being like what the Spine was and Northern Traverse in some ways was like a big major event. Mum just had to kind of like silently slip away, go and do it and come back. But of course, it's never like that.
So somebody's listening and they think, oh, what is this Winter Downs 200?
It's a big loop. It starts North Downs Way at Juniper Hall, which is a big activity centre. You then traverse, I get east along to the North Downs Way, and then you drop down onto the Vanguard Way heading south. My miles are skewed because we're 3 days post-race, so I couldn't even tell you the name of my middle child, but it's about 50 miles. You drop down the Vanguard Way all the way down to the South Downs Way at Alfriston, where you pick up the South Downs Way and you run west along the South Downs Way, which is mind-blowing. Never run it that way. For 88 miles, I think it is, all the way along there. And then you pick up Wayfarers Walk and St Swithuns Way, back up north towards North Downs Way before you get on the North Downs Way, and then you finish circle. So it's enormous. I was laughing with my family saying, I think I've pretty much run every footpath in the UK now, combining Northern Traverse, Winter 200 and the Spine. I don't think there's many footpaths where people haven't seen a poor haggard old lady crying running along.
But what are the rules? Like, you chose to do it unsupported.
Yeah,
some people did it crude, paces,
the idea
mules,
of it, James set it up that he wanted to run a 200-mile race. He wanted it to be in the winter with the extra challenge of the darkness. It does get dark, 3, 4? It's not light again, I know, because that second night I was calling, screaming for the sun to rise, and it wasn't until about 7:45, I don't think. So a lot of it is in darkness. But he wanted to put the crew option in so that it was accessible for people rather than throwing people straight into a big race with no help. So you can choose to run it crewed. If you're crewed, I mean, it's not like crewed as in you see your crew every 30 miles. You can see your crew at some point every 6 to 7 miles. That sounds all really close, but actually when you're in the depths of these, that can be like 3-4 hours. There's quite long stints as well between seeing crews. I think the longest is 13-14 miles between seeing crews as well. The rules are that you can meet your crews, and they're nearly always in car parks. There's a couple that are in villages or in towns, and you can do whatever you want.
They have to be specific points, or you can't just kind of rock up anywhere.
No, they have to be those specific points, and they're not allowed to then move with you at all. You meet them there. You can sleep in their car. You can have a little party. You can do whatever you want, and then you can go on. I chose not to do that. I chose to use life bases, and there's 4 of them. Actually, there's pretty much really only 3, because the 4th one is just a little checkpoint. There's one.
So you're like 50, 60 miles in, isn't it, before you? That's like probably more than Spine, isn't it? You kind of how much time
I
you
think
left on
it
your own.
might be almost, yeah. So the first one's at mile 49, the second one's at mile 92, the third one's at mile 107, and then there's one at mile 183, but that is a 1 hour check-in quick stop. I think it's about 205 miles, but with varying degrees of course you get lost. God, I don't know how many times I got lost, because it's not a national trail, so it's just footpaths. So numerous times you end up going down a field and then suddenly off course. The Black Boys Village Hall you can stop at mile 49 for 3 hours, and then at Truly and Sustainability Centre you can stop for 6 hours, and then at the Putnam you can stop for an hour if you want. They're a long way apart, those checkpoints.
Because it is the Centurion family, you know quite a lot of people there. Was that awesome turning up? Seeing lots of...
know quite a lot of people. I am part of the family. Yes. So, of course, it's lovely because it's going back to my crew. So I travelled down on Monday. What a joy now living in the country to be able to jump on a train. Oh, I love a train, Gary.
Yeah.
I love a train. Say goodbye to kids, always a bit tough, but my kids are just like, okay, bye, Mum. Love you. Busy. And it was a big thing because I was leaving them on their... Sorry. And this was a big thing of when I was out in the trenches thinking... and it's what Andrea says to me, actually, when she leaves me. I left them on there, and the parenting guilt on their last week of term in a new school. Of course, they're absolutely fine. Couldn't get less about them. But
it's tough though, isn't it? It is tough.
It's tough when you're leaving them, and I miss the carol services.
Yeah.
and all that sort of stuff. And I was thinking, God, just don't mention to teachers what your mum's doing. Just say mum's working. Mum's working. So that was, I felt horrible leaving the lists, and horrible leaving Bryn to, who was able to work from home that week, leaving him to having to pick up because it's me that does all that normally, having to transfer that. I felt that's not my week. So even leaving, I was like, I should have, the huge voice in my head going, this is selfish endeavor to go and do this right now. This is not the time. And I just still chose to go and do it, which makes me always feel like
What would it ever be the time? I always think there's always something. Or maybe I'm just kind of moving the goalpost for myself, but I always think there's something. And us doing these things, it gives us something. You know, my dad, he would go to the pub with his spare time. At least doing this as something maybe a bit constructive with it, at least. I'd rather my kids kind of see me do this than booze away my spare time.
Yeah, well, my mum's on the Christmas week. She's at the Christmas party. So yeah, that didn't sit well with me on the train as I was going down, and I was thinking, am I doing the right thing? I wanted to be at home. I didn't want to be going. I was like, why am I doing? You know, it's that time of year when I was like, I want to be writing Christmas cards and preparing all the presents, and I'm preparing to go and destroy myself. So that was a bit hard to get my head around, but it did, you know. I've said this before on the podcast. I switched that switch. So I get on the train and switch the switch into Eddie athlete. Of course, they're fine. They love it. They love it. They love it. They love tracking me, and they love telling people, and they love that everybody, you know, at the rugby matches and the football matches was like, your mum's doing what? Where is she now? And then everybody starts following the dot and everything. So, off we go. And then my second longest friends, Lindsay and George, who I have known Lindsay since we now have known each other longer than we haven't known each other. It's one of those friendships. I employed her. in my PE department. Many years ago, and they were looking to move down to London, and she came. Gave her a job, and that was it. We have been friends for hundreds and hundreds of years now. We've been through everything together. They are the sort of friends that have helped me move house when Bryn has been abroad. They have held my first baby 2 days after it was being born. They are deep. They're part of the soul, they're part of the family. So I was very lucky that they live very close to Box Hill. So they scooped me up, and I was able to have a base there and able to leave kit there and just know that there was somebody on call. I think it was very reassuring to my family that there was somebody that if things did, they were within, you know, a couple of hours on that trail all the time. The weather was forecast to be perhaps better than it was in some ways. It wasn't forecast to rain, which is massive because, oh my gosh, rain on that. It was forecast to be dry.
Days of rain.
So actually, it did mizzle. Okay. You know that word? It just mizzled most of the way. It was wet, but not wet enough that you were wet through, but wet enough. And actually, don't come at me. I only put my waterproof on in the last 5 miles because I will get into the story, but I did put everything I had on, every single layer in my pack, apart from my mandatory base and leggings that had to stay in my pack. I put absolutely everything I owned on because I knew that was the only way I was going to get to finish. Because I was going unsupported, my bag was a bit more of a smorgasbord of, I had a lot more kit in my bag. I didn't actually maybe the first 50 miles because I knew it was going to be daylight. It was going to be dry. So I didn't take my poles. I didn't take my nighttime gear. I knew that I would get to Black Boys sort of early evening, tea time-ish. So I would be able to then reset for the night. I was very nervous about being able to charge stuff, because with battery packs you can charge on the move, but you've got to know that it's charging in your bag, and you've got to stop and you've got to find stuff and leads and keep on top of your charging admin. So I had my wonderful and your wonderful Phoenix head torches, which were incredible, but I was so worried, Gary. I'd bought 3 extra batteries.
Wow.
Because I just thought, I was like, how do I know then what I've charged, what I have, when you're actually in the depths of this, keeping on top of your kit admin. I then also had to carry all my food for each section. That's a lot of food. So the day before, I'd laid everything out. I'd done a Tesco delivery to Lindsay and George's house, and I'd laid everything out. A real mixture of food, sandwiches, all sorts of different stuff, and then put it all into a bag so that each checkpoint I could just empty what I'd eaten, best laid plans, and put in then my next load of food to keep it super simple. I didn't take a lot of spare kit because also I know I take things for walks for 200 miles and I never used it. So I knew that I probably would only change my leggings once. I would only change my layer once. So I didn't take a lot. I just took enough kit, a spare set of kit for each checkpoint. But I did take enough Dex shells. I layered my feet in trench foot cream, and actually my blisters of my toes are absolutely horrendous, but my feet were no cracks, nothing. And considering how wet that trail was, I religiously moisturized my feet for weeks before the race, and then I trench footed them like a legend before the race, and then at every checkpoint I did that. Even though I was in such a funk, I knew feet.
That's good admin.
Feet. So though my toes, the blisters between my toes, my big toes, worst they've ever been. My feet, there was no trench foot. So my combination of the Dex shells and the shoes that I wore, they worked. For dry feet, the blisters, so something's not quite right. I basically think I need Hoka to make me my trainer because my feet are such a weird shape. I've got these like bunions, Gary, growing out the sides of my feet. I've got quite narrow feet, but now they're just getting wider every year from having kids. And then
are they making your toes kind of?
Yes.
My goodness me.
There's not a lot I can do really, apart from my French doctor said you've got like basically 10 years left in these feet, then you're going to have surgery. Kit check was fine. I had two microwave meals of macaroni cheese. I love macaroni cheese. And then into my little room. Lovely. No signal, Gary, no Wi-Fi. That made the evening a bit slow, but I didn't have anything to do. I thought you were ghosting me. I didn't have a book. I didn't have anything. So I was like, right, okay. So I had no podcasts to listen to. I was like, this is going to be a long night. But actually, I slept fine. 8 o'clock starts very nice, isn't it? So got up at about 6:30.
So what's your mood? I'm interested because there was zero sandbagging. Normally I'm like, oh, well, I've done this, I haven't done that, blah, blah, blah. And this is not BS with the podcast. You didn't give me anything like that. There was no sandbagging at all from Eddie Sutton.
I think that just describes the mood really, because I was like, where's this going to go? Who knows? What's this going to be like? There wasn't any like, I feel great. Oh my God, I feel incredible. But there wasn't any like, oh no excuses. I think that's a big thing with me, Gary, though. There's no excuses. I can tell you what happened and what went wrong and what I did wrong. There's no excuses. And so I didn't really know. I'm just going to let's just see where this goes. I feel fine. I've had a taper. I'm not ill. I'm not injured. Let's just go out and see. So I was really excited about the adventure. I was really excited about being out on the trails. Obviously, I know a lot of people, so that was lovely. I feel quite comfortable. And so off we set out of Juniper Hall. I made sure that I was on the front of the start line because I want women to see women on the front of the start line. So I stood right in the middle at the front and thought, I'm just going to stand here and smile and all these men can run past me when we turn left. But I want this photo. I want other women to see women on the front.
It's important. It really is important.
It's important. Otherwise, it's a very small field. I'm not sure how many started in the end. I want women to see women doing this, old women, saggy old women on the start line thinking they got a chance. They got a chance, guys. So off we go. And it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's dark. It's murky going up the hill, up out of Box Hill. So funny, this hill. So I ran up this first hill with Rachel and Emma and we were chatting and I was like, oh, marathon pace heart rate. and then you come down that hill at the end and the different I came down that hill like literally it's so funny 65 hours later you come down that hill an absolute ruined person and I've gone up it going First day passed relatively uneventful, fueling good. So my plan was to fuel that day with a mixture of solids and gels, as I always do. Just keep it going in.
Were you trying to hit numbers, or were you a bit loosey-goosey?
Oh, no numbers, no timings, just when I felt hungry, when it was the right bit of trail, just to keep it going down. Lots of chatting, keep it nice and relaxed. Felt pretty good. Yeah, I didn't have any of those, oh my gosh, I can't do this is terrible feelings. I was just an average day, nothing sensational, but the food was going in. My biggest thing was I did not want to be sick. I don't want to be sick. So whatever that first day is going to be, the win of it is that I'm not going to be sick. All the food was going in. I was chatting to people. I ran quite a lot of the way with some people. Ran quite a lot of the way with Dave, who had never listened to the podcast. He only knew about the podcast because his mate came out to meet us and they went, "You're Eddie." And he was like, "I know who you are." And I was like, "Whoa."
You didn't see anything? Oh my goodness me, I would have been all over him.
There was lots of chats, lots of different people. I will neglect to remember everybody's names. Also, I'm always a bit aware that perhaps people don't want their names meant. They didn't sign up to a race to be talked about on the podcast. So if I did run with you, if you saw me, if I conversed with you in any way, it meant the world to me. But as you know, if you did the race or if you've done it, everything becomes a bit of it takes so long to unpick the race. It takes a couple of weeks to even remember bits of it as well. So the love is there, of course.
Is it quite busy on the trails?
So that first bit was quite busy. There were lots of ladies who walk their dogs with coffee, as I called them, with lovely chocolate labs, probably called Taka. Oh, saw Hannah Rickman. She was running the other way, and that was she said she was going to do a long run, and so we had a quick sweaty embrace, and ran on. Lots of relaxed. North Way first bit is super easy, nice trails, and then it turns right into the Vanguard Way. Lots of chat about the Vanguard Way being the worst trail in human history, and it does not disappoint, my friends. I lived on this trail. There is nothing on this trail that gives you anything apart from of what I just kept saying. Fuck's sake. There is nothing on it that you go, this is brilliant. It is just field and wood of mud. The only thing that counteracts the barriers between these bits are stiles which are rotted and you have to keep climbing over, and then you take a right and then you go back into another. There is no joy to be found on the Vanguard Way, and due to the storm damage there were lots of trees to climb over. It made a few navigational topical errors just because the path some ways was blocked and tricky to find where the path was. Very, very muddy in places, few ankle bits, but we knew all this. It's nothing to be like, oh, it's horrendous, but it's just when you've got 200 miles to run, it's soul destroying. And the fields had been ploughed, and then you're running across them thinking, I'm having to work the glutes to get my glutes across this field. Shall I walk? Shall I run? Because I can feel that the effort that it's taking. But I did try and run and keep a steady forward momentum on this, getting down into Bat Boys. Got down into Bat Boys, so head torch had gone on now. Feeling good, Gary.
So how many hours in? I know it's hard to remember exactly.
So I wanted to get to Black Boys about 10 hours, and I think I got there about 10 hours 30. That was fine. Got in there, got my drop bag, and they said, so what do you want to eat? And my plan, obviously, is to eat loads at these checkpoints because I haven't got a crew to give me anything hot. Yeah. And they said, it's autumn soup or mushroom curry.
I'll be all over that. No.
Would you? Because I don't like mushrooms, Gary. So I had a real moment. I sat there going,
oh my goodness.
Oh, I was like, oh no, I want pasta.
Did you know the menu? Did you know what was potentially
No, and maybe I
available?
should have known the menu. So, that's personal choice. I don't like mushrooms. So that's nothing to do with Centurion's choice of menu. It's just I was like, right, I'm going to have to eat this. I was sitting there a bit, then I was like, right, come on, Eddie. You've got to sort yourself out. Get moving. Every second, you've worked all day to get to this point, and what you really want to do is stop and take a moment, and you can't because you've got to do your bottles, you've got to charge. So I was like, charge your watch, charge. Didn't have to worry about my head torch, that had only been on for an hour or so. Charge the watch, get the next route, do my feet. Do I need to change any of my kit? And at the same time trying to eat. I did eat this mushroom curry, but it came with the naan bread. There was no way I was going to eat naan bread. I can't have eaten that much of it. But there was enough that it revisited me for the next day. But I did manage to eat that. But it wasn't what... It was the start, Gary, of the texture of a mushroom. So I've always really hated fish. Like, I have a thing about it. I don't like that slimy texture, and mushrooms to me is the same sort of thing. They almost look a bit fish-like when they're cooked, and it triggers me a bit. And so I ate it, but at the same, I think my brain was like going, oh, I don't like it. Not the thing to eat when you're somebody of potential gastro distress.
Did you think then this could come back on me?
No, because I was like, I cannot think that. I cannot think that. I have to think, great. Get me some more. Get in my belly. Because it's the only option. There's no other. I can't be ringing up Domino's. Oh, God. Oh, that would have been brilliant. So I ate it, and then I was like, well, there's no excuses. Off I go into the night. Now, I love this first night on these long races because you feel relatively good, relatively fresh still. You're making good decisions. Very luckily, Andrea, episode 92, Dragon's Back legend, general legend. She is just a legend.
What a good egg, eh?
What a good egg. Had message to say, look, I can't make promises, but if I can come out in the night, I will bring you, she'd written me a smorgasbord of, I will bring you some things. And I'd said to James, look, a few people have offered to come out. What's the deal? If I'm uncrewed, is that it? Like, are you not? And he said, no, if somebody meets you, as long as it's at a checkpoint, that's absolutely fine. So I was quite relieved because quite a few people had said, we can do a pop-up. And I'd been like, look, if you're there, I won't rely on anybody. If you're there, great. But don't worry. I'm not going to be thinking, if you're not there, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I didn't want to put that. So Andrea had said, I put that. And then she said, all right, I've got parents' evening between this. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so kind. Andrea is a massive turning point in this story because I think there's another 10 miles after Black Boys of the Vanguard Way. You go through a river and they leave you with the checkpoint saying, in 10K, you're going to get to a river. If you're holding the handrail, you're on the path. If you're not holding the handrail, you're actually in the river. Make sure that you're holding the handrail. This makes it sound a bit full of jeopardy that it wasn't at all. So I was counting down thinking, right, 4 miles to go, 3 miles to go. Hold the handrail, Eddie. Hold the handrail. Having images of like a spine-like crossing of the water coming down,
cauldron
poles
snout.
in, hold the line. And of course, it was in the woods. It was this little wood. It was absolutely fine. It was knee-deep water wading through this bit, but it was a very small section. It was absolutely fine. So did all that. Starting to hit on the South Downs Way. The mushroom began to make an appearance. I started to feel a bit sick. I'd got some ginger sweets. Andrea had messaged to say, I'm going to see you. I can't remember the deets of where she saw me, but I'm going to see, I've got tea. I'm like, right, okay. So there's going to be some sustenance that perhaps I'm going to keep down. So I thought, okay, I'm going to let this out. I'm really sorry for these details, but it is the truth, is once I start the vomiting, it's not a puke and rally situation. I wish it was. It is a case of I go into this massive gastro distress and I cannot stop the the reflex. My stomach cannot reset itself. So I didn't know what to do. I was like, I know if I stop now, I can purge myself. I did feel okay.
But was food triggering the nausea, or were you just feeling... Because my own experience, I've felt poorly, but then the act of eating would make me
Makes you feel better.
No,
oh,
don't make me
okay,
feel sick.
no, not even that. I don't. It just came on, and then not everything made me just the act of living.
God, sick.
Anyway, I started being a little bit sick. Anyway, I almost had that discussion with myself of, here we are again. We find ourselves again on a trail in the middle of the night. You are vomiting. What are we going to do this time? We're going to breathe and believe, Gary. We're going to breathe. That term has never been more used in my head or by everybody on the trail. Those two words together, the breathe and believe, like it's quite it makes your breath work. Like, so I was just like, breathe, it's all going to be. I went through Alfriston, which is a lovely, very beautiful, not for you, Gary, very beautiful little place, lovely little shops, all the little twinkling lights on. People were getting their sort of like takeaway fish and chips, and I was looking in, my favorite time of day, looking in all the windows, people, televisions flickering. never have I ever wanted to be at home on a sofa more, knowing with what had just come out of my body and what the next night was going to hold, was like, I don't want to be here, Gary. I want to be at home. The call.
Kirsty and Phil.
Stop it. I've never, in a race, like normally, I wouldn't want to be taken out of that race unless I'm, I'd have to be dragged from it. But when I ran through Alston, I was like, I know what's coming with this vomiting. I know what's coming. Oh God, I don't want to do it. I turned up onto the Swithuns Way. You got no choice, Eddie. You got nobody coming to get you. Turned up onto the Swithuns Way. So the Swithuns Way is beautiful, high, massive, high, rolling hills. Views for miles, Gary, and it was a dry night, but it was not a clear night, so I could see nothing apart from maybe a couple of 100 meters ahead. So we had no sunset and we had no sunrise. It was just a night in the clag, but it was dry. Plodding along, feeling okay. I've never run the Swithuns Way this way, and I'm absolutely sure. I wonder who's done this race. The hills seem steeper this way to get up onto the tops. You're laughing at me, but they did.
No, I've thought this with races, like a reverse bob or Lakeland 100 the other way, how it would pan out.
At one of the car parks, I met my golden angel, Andrea, who had got a flask of tea, cheese and pickle sandwiches, and a chair with a blanket on.
What a star.
Oh my God, this was such a treat. And poor Andrea just let it. I was like, I'm being so like, I can't give anything better. It's proper. No, there weren't any tears yet, Gary. Just a proper like, help me, please help me. And this is when you need an experienced. Andrea pulled on all her experience to be like, take this woman in hand.
Yeah.
Right, eat that, drink that tea, have a bit of water. What can you drink? What can you do? Right, okay. Love was there, but no, like, this is, oh dear, what are we going to do? This is like, right, Eddie, here we go. She packaged me up some sandwiches, tea, off you go. And as I stood up from this chair, my hamstrings totally cramped. So then she's down at my stinky crotch, rubbing my hamstrings as I was going, ha, ha. And then she was like, I was like, oh, thank you so much for coming out. I love you. And she's like, Eddie, I'm going to see you again. I was like, you're going to see me again? Oh my God, this is incredible. So
that's good. You've got something positive to hold on to.
Oh, so I was like, what would I do if I wasn't going to see you again now? Because we've still got probably 20 miles or so to go till Truly Hill. Like what I was like, oh, so she said, I'm going to see you again. Don't worry. All you got to do, you're going to run, you're going to get over the next time, you're going to go down again, and I'm going to see you at, I think it was Housestein Farm, and we're going to repeat the process. So I was like, okay, Eddie, okay. So what was it like, how am I going to do this? Suddenly became like, okay, amazing, the mental shift. I can do this. Okay, that's all I have to do. Of course, then the cheese and pickle sandwich. I got a couple of cheese and pickle sandwiches in me, running along going, don't think about them. Don't think about sandwiches. Don't think about sandwiches. Think about sucking the ginger sweets. Just keep moving. Think about anything else. Think about, oh no. And then out come the cheese and all the tea and all the, my God. And of course I'd had liquid. And so it was just a scene from The Exorcist of just like the body just going. So right, I was like, so again, let's breathe and believe, Eddie. This is where we're at. Everything has come back up now, nothing again. I have no choice but to just keep on. I've just got to keep on moving forward. And knowing that Andrea was going to be at the next thing, I was totally pragmatic about, there was no emotion. There was like, I've just got to keep doing this because there's no way of fixing this. The only way of fixing this is stopping, getting into a checkpoint and stopping and eating. And I don't have that option.
See, because I'd be like looking at the floor going, that's like hours of calories. That's hours of carbohydrate. I've just kind of puked up.
That mental, because what are you going to do with that mental thought of like, oh yeah, it's gone. Right. Okay. What do we do? So I did just keep trying, Gary. I kept nibbling. I get like a little quarter of a baby bell out and then I'd be like, swallow it, and trying to get the moisture in the mouth. And then swallow it, and then I'd be like, and then I'd spend it makes the time pass. The next half hour going, keep it down. There were more head torches coming up behind me than going ahead of me.
Okay.
I sort of met a couple of guys that had been behind me and they were moving. I think everybody was feeling the Vanguard Way in their legs. It was tiring, that mud. And so a lot of the conversations I had on this bit of trail were like, it's a bit we'd really looked forward to the Swithuns, when then when you're actually on it, it is again another little relentless bit of trail of ups and downs, and
it presents different challenges, doesn't it? Because it's not, say, Hilly Lakes 200 mile, or even say Northern Traverse. I looked at the elevation. I think, was it something like 20,000 feet for 200 miles, which is about Lakeland 100, but obviously double the distance. So, but don't think that's
and
easy.
it comes in chunks. It comes in chunks as well, because the last bit has very little climbing in it for quite a long way. So it's quite concentrated, the climbing as well. So we're getting near the end. We're really getting close to Trudy Hill, which is the mile 92 point there. And this was my beacon of hope. And I saw Andrea again, and I just said to her, I can't do it. This is too much. This is too much. I cannot do another 100. And I knew it was nearer 208 mile.
Yeah, okay.
I've still got 110 miles. And I don't think I've got the mental capacity to drag this state of Eddie.
Well, how would you turn that around? Because
how do I that was it. It was like, can't do it. I said to her, I can't do this, Andrea. It wasn't the fact I didn't have the energy, because there's always, as we see, you can get out of your body. But the thought of what I was going to have to get out of my body in order to finish this without the calories going in, I was like, have I got this in me? And at that point I said to Andrea, I haven't got it in me. I felt the whole like last 6 months, and I thought I needed those reserves of power, of like a really good training block and lots of sleep and steady home life. And I was like, have I got this in me to like drag myself? And again, my last 2 years has been dragging myself, going to this place. Have I got this in me again? And I just said to her, I don't think I can't. And she just said, we have. Yeah. You have. You need to get up and you need to go, because you can do it. And there are, Gary, there are thousands of people watching you and believing that you can do it. And the most important people at home are watching you going, can you go home and say, I didn't do it because it was too hard? And I couldn't. So
you could, but there's something in you that, you couldn't. You got up and then you went.
And she put that, she lit that match. And that was from her own experience as well. I think from her Dragon's Back journey as well.
Wow. Years and years of commitment.
Years and years of things. Her seeing, she was like, you've got to do this. You're going to have to go to the well, Eddie. But you can do it. And people believe that you can do it. And you doing it is going to show a lot of people what you can do. And other people thinking, they can't do that. Like, you've got to pull on that now. She certainly was not going to drive me home. So I did it again. And so that literally, and she'll say this too, it turned I was like, yeah, right. I've got to do this. And I have got to do this. I've got nobody to help me. Andrea, stay with me. I have got to do this. So I said, right. I got up, hamstring cramp. I got up and I was like, I need all my clothes. I put more clothes on, and I said, right, I'm going to do this. I've got to get myself there. Nobody, this is what these races give us, is this moment of nobody is coming to help me. This is only me can help. I make two decisions here. I stop. You guys would have been lovely if I'd stopped. You guys would have gone, Eddie, you do suffer a bit. That lots of people were like that, and then we learn and we move on. So that's the option one. But then I live with that, and I live with that voice going, could you have carried on? Could you have carried on? And from experience, I know that. So I wasn't prepared to live with that voice. And then my second option was, right, wow, did I draw on the podcast experience there of like, what, right, Eddie, come on, get warm. Biggest thing, I think, when you're in that terrible, no calories, being sick, going really slow, is you can keep yourself warm by using your layers. And I've got a sensational layering system now, not in part down due to Stu and Mike, who taught us all about the layering when to use it, how to use it. So I wasn't cold then, I was fine, but I put the les on and it almost gave me a little bit of a mental, like a little blanket and a little bit of like, you're going to be okay, Eddie. Like I needed almost like a bit of a hug, like let's get my fleecy top on, let's get my hat on, let's get my really cozy gloves on, and let's put myself in a bit of a cocoon and get myself to this checkpoint, which was only about 6 miles. Oh my God, it was. There was a guy, dawn was breaking, and this guy was running his dog towards me. I was watching him like I got transfixed. I could see him from miles away coming with his dog. And I was like, wow, just a normal like jogger out running on trails that I've run hundreds of. And I was watching going, he must be incredible. He's running up this trail. And here I am just talking about. And like you can see this the Trudy Hill checkpoint from a long, you have to drop down into the valley and back up again. It's a bit of a. I was still in my Hoka Tectons at this point. And I love them. But the slight narrow bit of the toe box had meant they had blistered my toes, which are all misshapen and clawed. Like I could feel all the blisters. I'd felt one pop, which is one of the most horrendous pains, I think.
Well, it's very focused, but it is like 11 out of 10.
11 out of 10 pain. But I was happy to take that pain because it took me off the nausea. I got myself to this checkpoint thinking, I love those shoes, but I've got to change into my trusty North Face. I'd done the spine in them, knew that they'd carry me through. Thank God I took them. Otherwise, I think I'd have had to chop my toes off. Do you know what? I probably would have chopped my toes off the state I got myself into, Gary. Get myself up. Anyway, this checkpoint, I got into the checkpoint and said, can I see a medic? Because I thought I need whatever anti-nausea pills they give me. And this is some research that you can only get from a doctor, that they gave me at Northern Traverse and at the spine. I need those pills. It was light, so it must have been about 8 o'clock. So I thought, I'm not going to stop at this checkpoint. I'm going to make the most of the light, and I'm going to try and push on to a mile 137, and I'm going to sleep there because I didn't feel sleepy. So I had a jacket potato and cheese and beans. And you'd like to say, oh, it tastes insane. I was so hungry. But of course, I just sat going tiny, like little mouthfuls. And I'd seen a sofa. So they bring your bag up into this room and they were like, so sit at this chair and tables. I was like, I am not sitting at a chair and tables. I was like, can I go over on that sofa? So I spurged myself onto this sofa, everything everywhere. But I'm not too bad. I'm sorting everything out. I'm trying to address all my issues, all my chaffing issues.
What's your self-talk at this point, though? Are you quite down on yourself?
No. So actually, I never got into that, which we've had at previous races. I never got into that. I couldn't let that voice in. You're not doing well enough, Eddie, because I actually felt like I was winning because of what I was having to go through to keep myself moving forward. That was my entire focus. What anyone else was doing, pace anyone else was traveling, had no relevance to me because I had to entirely be this selfish little slug on the trail moving along. So that was the only selfish slug moving along. So all I was thinking, that's all I was thinking was I need to get calories down and I need to sort my feet out because those blisters. But I decided not to touch my blisters because I thought this is just hemorrhaging time. When I'm already I don't want to be another hour. I'm just going to leave the blisters, fresh socks, trench foot, just lube it all. And that's just hope for the best. Spoke to the medic and I said, can I? And he said, no, I can't prescribe any of these tablets for you. You have to get our medics team and it's going to take us a while to get them here. And I think you can only have them at the finish. I said, well, I've got some. Can I take these tablets I've got with me? And he looked at all the packet and he's like, you're so dehydrated, it would be very dangerous to take these tablets. This is where you get, there's nobody coming to help you, Eddie.
We need a bigger boat.
Need a bigger boat here. That was a low. I thought, I felt like Mariah Carey. I could have a real Mariah Carey moment here going, look, I'm so sick. I just need some help. I've managed. I've gone through the night. You don't know the mushrooms I've left on that Swithuns way. You don't know. You weren't there. But I was like, no, okay, Eddie. Breathe and believe. you're in this state, get yourself out of it. Classic words. Being brought up by my mother has helped me greatly. I'm afraid there's nobody
You entered
to
this
blame.
race.
Nobody to blame but yourselves. So you need to sort yourselves out. So right, I'm not going to get the tablets. Okay, right, I'm going to be dealing with this. I believed that now the sun had risen, that I was going to feel better, and that I probably would feel better with this jack potato. Things would turn around, as they have done in the other 2 races, and I'd be able to eat, and the dialogue would become less of this nausea. So got myself fed. I think I had a couple of bowls of custard too. Then it's a long downhill. Off we go. Proper Swithuns way. I'm very comfortable on this bit of Swithuns way. I got about the pigs at bottles, moving along. There was no visibility, Gary. So we were stuck in like this cloud. So you could see nothing more than about 10 meters ahead of you. No views, okay. Nothing. So the whole day I was in my head of being sick and nothing to see. There was no distraction. This was one of the hardest days of my life because there was nothing.
But there was no sanctuary for food. Like, I had my Baby Bells, I had my Freddos.
Basically did this on Coke now. So I had water in one bottle, I had Coke in the other, and I just was like, I was trying to get myself like, off she goes in my head. I loved it. Off she goes on a merry little way. Sip the Coke, la la la, sip the water, fa la la. Out it comes, bleh, off she goes. I was trying to like really cajole myself and find like joy. She can't see anything. And I was like trying to listen to podcasts, I was trying to listen to music. I was like, and I just got transfixed on looking on my watch, and it would say 1.7 miles to a right-hand turn. And that was all I could think about was like 1.7 miles to the next right-hand turn, 1.7 miles. And then it'd be like, honestly, Gary, I joke you not, I ran for like 3 hours, and then it would go 1.5 miles to the next round. I'd be like, no, I've been running for 3 hours. That was truly, I think, some of my, physically my worst running of my life. I kept walking and I'd be like, and this is because I'm so calorie deficit. I kept walking and I'd be like, run. My legs hurt so much running. And I was like, this is in a 200, your legs, they are tired, but you don't get that leg pain. But my legs felt like someone had put hot pokers down my quads. I couldn't get into a rhythm. I was like running for like 10 steps and I'd be like, I was a teenager. Gone was the slug, and the teenager had been like, couldn't get moving. Everything I ate was just, it was low. It was a very low moment, but never was I going to stop, Gary. That never came into my mouth. I was just, this is awful. And then what good to come? Then I started the narrative of, this is really hard. This is really hard. And this is a bad road to go down because this isn't really hard, Gary. This is just self-inflicted adventure. Yeah. I have a tracker on me with a button. I have not only the whole race team looking at me, investing in my dot. We are in such a place of privilege that we have thousands of people watching me. They're all watching me. This is not hard.
I think about this. Yes, we are in a place of privilege, but I also think we can say it is hard. It's fine to say that. There's two separate things. I understand there's people out there who literally can't do it. Terrible situations all over the world, but it is fine to say, yes, it is hard. This is hard,
but this isn't. I was thinking back to Luke. I was thinking, imagine hearing those words. I was thinking back to our, to Matt, who'd asked with Brew the coaches about his daughter that was going to be so ill and was having to have a lot of treatment and how he's going to run. I was thinking about Victoria at the back, and I was like, that's true. That is true grit and determination and suffering. This is just hard. This is just like, and this is a moment of time. You're running towards a family. You're running towards a comfortable life, a wonderful Christmas. You're running towards love. You are not, there's an end to this. All you have to do is keep moving. And that did change the narrative in my head a little bit of like, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Every moment that you're in this place.
I don't give it much volume on my head. I hear about some stories. I'm not devaluing anyone's story, the reasons why they do it and the places they go to get to the end. It'll pass. I'll get to the end. It might not be how I want. It might not be the race I wanted to be, but it's fine.
This is what it is, Eddie. This is what it is. So really in the middle bit of the rent, we're in the trenches here. We've got a family when I used to have 3 under 3. We're in the deep end, guys, and we're not doing good. Throw the Cheerios. In Friends when they're like, throw the Cheerios.
Are we going to the second night yet, though?
And so not quite into the second night, but the sort of rhythm of the race had been, I was around the same couple of guys for a lot of this race, you know, and there was huge, because it's such a small field, I was on my own for 95% of this race. And also because I was in such a bad, there was no conversation, Gary. There was there was nothing coming out of Eddie apart from moving forward in my complete facial collapse. I mean, Eddie circa 2002 out of a nightclub at 2 a.m. It was about the same sort of like, I was not able to hold a conversation. I was no way. All I was doing was moving forward. But what I did kept seeing where people were being crewed was the same crew people. And I think they began to think, this girl needs do you need anything? Oh, have you got any tea? Fortunately, I think Shane and Aaron, particularly their crews, gave me more love than they would know just by being there and just being like, you okay? But unfortunately, I don't think Shane and Aaron were big tea drinkers because they are not tea. You don't have any tea? Come on, what do you do? How are you managing?
Did that give you comfort that you were seeing the same crew over and over again?
Yes, I loved it. And I think actually they're probably all going to come on holiday to Scotland now. They couldn't have, like, Shane's mum and dad had come out and they had like these high-vis jackets on. A couple of times I passed them in the night and they were like all cuddled up asleep in their van. I just loved that they were out with their son and just, they would give me some water or some Coke. I owe quite a few crews much Coke. So that was lovely. Yeah, that got me through quite a few hours on that sort of bit, heading towards Queen Elizabeth Park and then up to the Sustainability Centre. So now we're going into the second night. Feel okay. I don't feel too tired. That is not the theme of this race yet.
Had you had any grace between puking though?
This never ended, Gary. This was the hardest bit of this race, of that. It never ended. I think I never stopped. When nothing was coming up, it was just the reflex, the constant and the constant feeling of it is horrible. So I was making my way around Queen Elizabeth Country Park. Hate this bit on Southlands Way. Hated it even more. Number of listeners popping up on roadside crossings and in car parks. I can't remember names, but I love you.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It's lovely, and they were so lovely and so like, oh, what do you do? Oh my gosh, amazing. One car stopped, and I was so confused. So they had at the country part, were playing some sort of musical megamix and had waited for me, and it must have been about midnight to see me, and I wasn't on my bestest form, Gary. And I was a bit confused because I thought they were in the race. I thought they'd come to get me, to take me to the checkpoint. And they hadn't. They just come to say hi. And then there's a big climb up. So out of Queen, and then I was like, right, 3 or 4 miles to this checkpoint. Now I'm hanging. And this is a really good tip for these 200-mile races, is the last 3 or 4 miles to these checkpoints are horrendous, because you get yourself there. You get yourselves like 40, 50 miles. And then the last bit, I think the body goes, and you arrive. It was flat, Gary. It was, but you got the hill. I was terrible. I was like, you are a disgrace to an Alpine, 10 years in the Alps, and you walked up this hill like your granny.
You're empty.
There was nothing. I was like, come on. And then it's flat, or even downhill. And I was walking it, Gary. It was a mile. And I was like, this is taking me so long. Come on. But I've never been so pleased to get anywhere. And Drew was captain. Drew is a big part of the Centurion family. And I've known Drew, again, a deep soul in my life for very, very many years. And he'd said, I'll see you there. It was so nice to see him. And he's vastly experienced as well. So he's like, right, what can we do? Here she is. What are we going to do with this? Maybe I need to I got in there and I was like, I didn't eat. I was like, right, I'm going to starve. In my house, I'm going to starve this parasite out of me. I'm not going to eat. I know. I'm not going to eat. I'm going to go and sleep first, and I'm going to let my stomach settle, and then I'll eat when I woke up. I said to Drew, how long should I sleep? I said, 20 minutes. And he was like, no, Eddie, everybody's sleeping for like 90 minutes. He said, I'll give you 2 hours, and then you'll have had 90 minutes within that 2 hours. Being a woman, only good thing about being a woman on this trail is that you get a room, in you go. There was a duvet on the bed. Eddie, full kit, sorry. Sorry. Full kit. Later, I didn't put anything on to charge, Gary. I didn't do anything. Oh my God.
So you never had it? I know this is a bit geeky, but I hear some people, when they didn't see a spine race, they have a list. They have physical.
Yes, I have the list, Gary. Yeah, I have the list on my bag, taped into the front of my bag. I got onto the bed. I literally sat on the bed, Gary. I set my alarm for 2:00 in the morning. And I went, I didn't even put my legs onto the bed. And then I woke up about 15 minutes later going, oh my God, my legs. Got into the bed. And then I looked, I was like, please, how long have I been asleep for? Please. And it was like literally 15 minutes. I was like, oh, never have I been so happy in my life. I was like, oh.
Incredible.
Oh, incredible. Go back to sleep. And I couldn't really sleep. I kept waking up like every 10 minutes. I'd be like, oh my God, I've got to go. The thought of getting up and going back out.
My own experience is obviously, we saw you a lot on the Northern Traverse. I was at the spine race at Middleton, and how people went out again. I'll never know. I never know the answer to that question.
I got up. Drew was like, oh, you're already up. I was going to go and wake you up. And I was like, no, I've got to, and I said, Drew, do you think I've got a temperature? I'm sure that I've got some sort of illness. This can't be right. Please somebody tell me that I can stop. And he like felt my forehead. He's like, you feel totally fine, Eddie. Gary, then I sat there. I was like, right. Oh shit. I haven't charged anything. Eddie, get everything out. And I just use a battery pack in my bag so I don't have to talk to anybody or get anyone to do anything. Charge everything up. Eddie, you're such an idiot.
Easy done.
Sort my feet out. What can you eat? So it was lasagna. And I was like, I can't process the thought of that lasagna coming back out again. I can't do it. So I said, I'm just going to have some toast. Yep, toast. That seems good. The guy serving my toast, I suddenly looked up and he had the Tea and Trails bobble hat on. I was just like, oh my God, hi. He's obviously, again, one disappointed fan.
Cancel his Patreon.
Yeah, hi there. Woo. I can do less of that. You want a hug? Do you want a selfie? No, I'm okay actually right now. But
I'll take a pass.
So I sat with this toast, Gary, going, I need to eat it. Come on, I need to eat it.
Are you frustrated then, like, because you were saying about the jacket potato, the toast, are these...
No, because there was lasagna there. There. I could have eaten that.
No, I mean, was it frustrated about the time that it's taking you to do stuff?
No, because I actually think, even though I'm painting a very slow picture, I think actually I was keeping going. You know, I wasn't just sitting there. Just could not get this toast to go down. I should have sat there for 2 or 3 hours and eaten that lasagna, and I needed somebody to tell me to do that. But it's not a right to have somebody to tell you to do that. No. I needed to tell myself that. Most people in this race are being looked after, being crewed. So I don't think people realise the actual state, because of course I'm not an introvert, but I'm not going to make a fuss. So I'm just going to sit there. And I don't think people realising the depth that I'm going to and how low I am, but also that I can...
You put on a bit of a face as well, don't you, when you see people?
I definitely put on a bit of a face that I'm okay to what was stumbled into this. So I ate half a piece of toast, Gary.
I'm going to tell you off when we stop recording. This is terrible.
This is terrible. They make me some sandwiches because I think sandwiches is going to be okay. We learned that at Middleton, didn't we? Don't be scared to ask. If you've not got what you want, people only want to help you. So don't be scared to go, oh, can I have this? Or could somebody make me this? I left the checkpoint at 2:30. I know, because I looked, 2:37, the worst time. Second night, deep into the night.
Was you normally like the second night? Am I right in thinking?
Yeah, I'm okay in the second night. It's okay. But I knew, like, the first hour or so leaving a checkpoint, you feel okay. You normally don't. So I thought I can get an hour out onto the trail, maybe even 2 hours, and then the dawn will start to break. And then I'm going to have a lot of the trail that's quite finicky in the daylight.
Yeah.
And sleep wasn't the problem on this part. It was the fueling. So I was like, okay, yes, I'm running again now. That's an improvement. I'm finding the trail. I'm moving. I'm overtaking. I overtook a couple of guys. One guy looks horrendous. I feed off that. I'm like, he looks, oh my God, I'm practically 10K pace. I was like, you're right, mate. And there's no, like, I literally, you're right, mate. There's like, nothing. Yeah, I'm moving okay on this bit. I'm moving okay. And then I get my period again, Gary.
Oh,
and
was it you?
No. So I'd just finished it. So I'd taken a tampon this time because I knew what situation I got into. And I thought, okay, this is fine. This is what it is. Obviously, there's something going on. We need some studies. I'm going to send this to Megan Roach to go. We need, what the hell happens to the body, this women's body, that within, so this is 40 hours into a race, the body has gone, it is in such a state, it's gone, if you've got a baby, I'm going to miscarry with that baby. That's what it is, basically.
Yeah.
It's gone, or, you know, the hormone levels have dropped so much. This is what has happened. So this is way overshare. Maybe fill in a couple of minutes, scroll ahead if you don't like this sort of chat.
Is it always, listen, I know nothing about this, but is it always a period, or could it be some kind of other trauma? You've just made something bleed?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay.
It's definitely a period. So I stopped and I dropped my tampon into the mud.
God, no.
And I was like, staring down at it. Life choices. Do I use this?
Oh.
No, not even Eddie is going to scoot that low. Scoot it up, but if I thought, I got it. Oh gosh. So then, all right, okay. Gosh, Eddie, this is a challenge, isn't it? So this is my new dialogue now. Jolly Eddie appears on the trail next to you. Gosh, this is a real challenge, isn't it? Wow, this is not just a jog in the park. Now what's happening? Oh dear, we're in a right pickle. What are we going to do? What can I do? There's not a lot I can do. I'm just going to have to keep on missing. I know that I'm going to get to Alston where there is going to be shops and I'm going to be able to sort myself out. Now I am absolutely exhausted. The dawn has not yet come. If you've done these mega races, you will know this feeling. I was doing a Lucy Gossage. I was shouting, come on, wake up. I was yawning and retching, and it was horrible feeling. Dawn will come. You're going to feel better. I had to breathe. Even believe, Eddie. I am going to feel better when that dawn rises. I'm going to feel better. Just keep on moving. A little bit of a road section. I have my poles out now and I was click, using them to like kind of stay awake. I was like, tick, ooby-doo, like clicking them on my head, clicking them behind. I was pretending before we do anything scary when we're skiing, Bryn and I would always click our poles behind us and be like, dropping, and like if we were skiing down, so I was like pretending to do that and being like, come on. I was being a fool, running along this bit of road, and I tripped over my pole and like caught it underneath myself and went absolutely smashing down onto the road, onto my side. I had my phone in my legging pocket and smashed everything, smashed my hand, smashed my lip, smashed my phone. And I lay on the road, Gary, and I thought, let something be broken. Please let something be broken. Surely something be broken. Oh no, and it just really hurts. I just really winded myself. And then I thought, but if I lie long enough on the road, a car might come along.
Take me out.
Just take me out, scoot around me, and it can all be over. This is very brief thoughts. Obviously, I didn't lie there. I got back out. Oh, I am so sad.
That's anyway, only one tumble in all of this.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, yeah, there's only one tumble. Got back up, looked at my phone. Oh my gosh, my teenager's going to be so upset with me. Smashed my phone. So then the WhatsApp function didn't work, like the keyboard doesn't work now because I smashed the phone. Anyway, no, this is the least of my worries. Starting to head into much more civilized trails now. Fields, farms, lots of villages, lovely houses. Woohoo, there's some money around there. Boring though, Gary, boring. Okay. There's no hills. Everything you should be running. And I'd be looking on my watch. Any distraction needed. I'd look to see what percentage I was going up. Yeah. If it was 2, I'd be like, well, I'll walk that. So much, too much. So because there's no fuel, I was really struggling to I'd be like running and then I'd start walking and I'd be like, I'm pretty sure this walking was faster than that running. And it was so runnable, big long stretches of great running. And I was just
frustrating, isn't it?
So frustrating. Anyway, eventually arrived into Alston and I was greeted in Alston. Very strange. Cars crossing, road crossings. I'd be standing watching the cars going, and I learned that on the Northern Trail. I'd be like, do not go until the road is clear. Do not go. Hold. You almost need that to be reinforced to you if you've got to do road crossings when you're so spaced out like this, you do not cross the road until it is totally clear. Do not, like roundabouts, crossing around, it was quite scary.
Had you hallucinated yet? Or at all?
So my story of my hallucinations is brilliant. I really enjoyed them, Gary. So baby Jesus did give me a little bit of joy on this run because my hallucinations were all dog walkers, people out walking their dogs, various forms, standing with their dogs, Labradors, poodles.
Did they, or is it just tricks of the light though? Did you get up to it was like a rock?
Yeah, they were just trees or people, but they were all dog walkers or various animals. There was nothing scary and there was nothing over. I think my brain was on such a survival, like, keep moving forward. It did not let me let that in. It was just like...
I think that's a lovely reflection on your mind, that is. These dogs.
Dogs and dogs. So I was like, thank you for that, because the rest of this race is absolute shit. But I am enjoying the fact my hallucinations are dogs and people walking their dogs, because anybody who's got a dog and walks their dog is lovely. So that's great. So got into Alston, and in Alston, where the crew point was she's not stupid, this woman, was a burger van. This is it, Gary. This is going to change the race. This is it. This is my salvation. She didn't have any veggie options, Gary. So, no, it's fine. Hannah Rickman has taught me the term snack accident, and this was not an accident. She said it's fine. She said, you can have the bacon bap. So I ordered up a bacon bap and a cup of tea. I walked along with it, and then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to sit in a bus stop and I'm going to try and eat this and drink this tea, and I'm just going to take a moment, because though I'm moving really slow, I'm still always moving. I'm always like, come on. So I'm just going to take a breath and stop and try and get this down. But, I still couldn't eat that, but I still managed like 2 or 3 mouthfuls of it. However much my head was like craving. I need this. And like 2 or 3 mouthfuls. I was like, oh no. Did drink the tea though. Tea was incredible. Ran on. We're daylight now, so the tiredness is not, the tiredness sort of lifts here. All I need to do really is, I think Hannah sent me a message saying, you've got 10 miles and then you're on the North Downs Way. And that is gosh, then you've done that big circle and you're just got to complete that circle along the top. That was massive. So I was like, just got to get to Farnham. One, I'm on trail I know, and none of this like left here, right here, oh God, where am I? Because I didn't know where I was, which again, big mistake. This was just very slow. But again, lots of walk, jog, come on. Tried to eat my sandwich that I'd had made at the checkpoint, and the bread was all mouldy.
It's heartbreaking. I'd have eaten it.
I put it in my mouth, and then I was like, I could see the mold, and I was like, oh God, chew. So then I decided, right, come on, I've got to eat. I've got to try and eat. So for this section, I stopped to eat. So I would stand, I'd put a square of the moldy bread in my mouth, and I would chew, and I wouldn't let myself move until I'd swallowed it. So I'd just be standing there going, chew, swallow, come on. And then I'd swallow it, and I'd be like, okay, keep going. That was staying down. So I was like, that's my little process. Right, that's what I'm going to do up until Farnham. And Lindsay and George were going to meet me unplanned, but I think we all realised that Eddie was not going to perhaps survive to Christmas unless some sustenance going. So Lindsay very kindly missed her end of term party and said, I'm going to meet you at Farnham. I'm going to meet you in Farnham, Eddie, and get you, what do you want? I said, soup. I want tomato soup. It took forever. Then I got lost going into Farnham. I lost the my big watch, which has got the really good map, died. So I put my smaller watch on, and it doesn't have the map. It just has the line. And I came off the line, and I could not find my other big watch. Is much easier to pan in and out. So if I'm off the line, I can see where the line is. And I could not get my other watch does that. I kept stopping it and restarting to try and find the zoom in and out bit. Oh my God, I'm annoying myself. I was annoying myself. So
after all this time as well, that kind of
runner came towards me, and I said, am I going into Farnham? Because I felt like I was going out of Farnham. And then I was worried that I was off the path and I was taking a Jack Scott shortcut. And then people would be like, you took a 2K shortcut into Farnham.
Is it waymarked? If you know, obviously you're super tight.
This bit had St Swithuns Way. When I was on St Swithuns Way, that was the best marked bit. Every single point had an arrow. The rest of it was like hit or miss. Whether you saw it, you know, you might not see it, you might not pass it. I think I was actually always on the right road. I think the GPX was a bit funky. Down into Farnham. This is where the legend starts. Lindsay said I drank a litre of tea and I drank a whole flask of tomato ketchup, tomato soup. Oh my gosh, the lift, seeing your best friend, handing her my watch to charge while I sat in her car, and James said I was there for 45 minutes. He's like, what are you doing? I said, because everything in my bag was totally messed up. I was really worried that I didn't have all the mandatory kit, because I was like, where are my waterproof, like, where are my gloves? Where have I put everything? Where's my cup?
Well, you thought you just lost them en route somewhere.
Yeah. I became obsessed that I didn't have all the kit. Of course, I got like 3 bits of every bit of kit, but it was all messed up in my bag. I didn't know where my charging leads were. So I was like, I need to just sort my bag out because I need to know where everything is. I feel like I've lost control. Eddie, you lost control about mile 49 here. Scanned all this and thought, right, I felt so much better, Gary. Wow. That tomato soup, I felt incredible. So 6 miles until Putnam, where there's that safety checkpoint. And I did think I might even sleep there. I know what's going to happen to me in this third night. And if I slept for half an hour, I could save myself 4 hours. That was my narrative. So I thought I'm just going to get there. So my next 6 miles was probably, I ran the whole thing. I ran up the hills. I felt great. I went through what was the biggest flood. I went waist deep through a lake. I enjoyed it, Gary, because it gave me a little wash. A little freshen up. I did a little wee and I came the other side. And I felt great. Everything stayed down. I thought, thank God, I am going to finish this race. This is going to be lovely because I'm going to finish this race. I'm going to be finished by about midnight, maybe even 11 o'clock. I don't have to go through the third night. And I'm going to finish strong after what I've been through. Eddie, you deserve this. So off I run. Putnam seems to take forever to come, but it does. I get to the checkpoint. I get in there. Do you want some cheesy pasta? Do I want some cheesy pasta? And this is, I think, an error. I said, has anybody slept here? No, nobody's sleeping here. Everybody's pushing on. And I should have slept there. I should have stopped. So I ate the pasta and then I went to the loo and then I spent a lot of time in the loo. And when I came out, they were like, you're right, you're quite a long time. I was like, oh, I was watching a fairground show that was being projected onto the floor. And they looked at me and I was like, it wasn't happening. I was just imagining that. But I had some pasta and I thought, I think it's 12 miles here to the finish. I can do this. I'm on trails. I know food is going down at last. I don't have any food really I've got food on me. I don't know if I'm going to eat it. Who knows? Come out of the checkpoint. Steve Ashworth, I have lots of nice chats with him. He's taking photo and video. I love him. He thinks I'm absolutely loopy. As I'm running along, he goes, you're running better here than Emma was. I was like, well, for this 100 meters of section, I'll take that. It's very kind of you. Because I have not run for about the last 50 miles. And then as he's videoing me, everything comes back up, Gary. Everything. The tea, the soup, the pasta. I'm leaning over my poles. And I think you can video this because I want people to see that this is what it's like.
You might see that little dot and we're all willing that dot to go on, but my goodness me, the story that is happening down there.
So I lean over my poles and Steve shouts at me, breathe and believe, Eddie.
You go, oh, fuck off.
And I think, so I shout at myself, I do not have any more time for this. Get on. I don't have time for this now. I am fed up. I'm just going to run. I'm just going to. And these are big mistakes that I make now. I should have just carried on walking because I have no reserve. So the little bit of energy I've got into myself, I use for like the next 2 or 3 miles. I have a chat with Bryn. He's like, this bit's really runnable. You've done this. We've done this together. You know this bit. Just keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving. He's just talking like, tell me what the kids are doing. And I'm just like, focus on that. But I'm like, I feel that dial go, and I feel it going on. I'm like, Bryn, I'm losing. Oh, come on. I feel that dial. I felt that dial in the spine. I felt that dial. in the Northern Traverse, but less in the Northern Traverse, but definitely in the spine on that Cheviot bit. I felt it and I feel myself going there and I'm like, no. It's a very, very frightening place to be on your own when you feel that you've lost the ability to know where you are, what you're doing, you want to lie down. And so I've kept that at bay for the last 2 days. I've kept moving, I've kept, every little bit, tiny little bit of energy I can put in, I've kept myself moving. I've kept that like inner Mallory Towers, a person going inside me going, good, we're doing jolly well here, come on. And that person, she has gone. There's not even anybody left inside me to keep me. There's no one. I'm on this really dark wood covered North Downs Way and I'm not moving. I'm like stumbling. I'm like stopping. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Come on, where am I going?
You're on your own at this point. Is there a Leon?
I'm on my own. No, there's no Leon or David. The process of trying to make thoughts is really, really hard. I'm cold because I'm not moving, but I was moving, so I haven't got my I haven't got my hiking kit on. I've got my jogging kit on. What can I do? What can I do? So I look at my bag and I'm like, I've got to put on all my clothes. Got to get myself dressed. The thought of trying to get myself dressed, which is going to mean sitting down to put my waterproof trousers on. Can I do that? I'm like, yes, come on.
Be asked, get
yourself. So I get all my stuff out of my bag. It's everywhere on the trail. It's absolutely pitch black. Trying to find everything, put everything on. Really stiff, tired legs, trying to get them into waterproof trousers. Should have done this earlier. Getting my stuff on, getting gloves on, and then getting everything back into the bag. They were laughing at me at HQ.
I'm amazed you did it.
What were you doing? You kept like the little sleep. My poor mum and dad were like, you kept coming up the sleep.
Yeah.
Like, and I was trying to like get stuff out. It was taking me so long to like and then I'd put gloves on and I'd be like, oh no, it's too hot. Every ounce of my being wanted to lie down on that trail and go to like, just stop. And I was like, no, keep going. And then Shane came up behind me and I said, can I just follow you off this trail? Taking that moment to ask somebody that their own race. And he just went, this is not good podcast, but he just nodded his head. And he was like, yep. And he no chat. I just tucked in behind him and thought, I just need to follow you off this bit of trail. So long to get off this bit of trail. But I knew once we got to the top of this bit of trail, then it's dropping and then we've got 5 miles to go.
What are you feeling? You've done nearly 200 miles. You've got 5 miles to go.
I am feeling a desperate feeling that I have not, there's nothing, there's literally not, how am I going to get myself up Box Hill? How am I going to do this? There's literally nothing. So we eventually get to this car park and Lindsay's a runner and she's done stuff and they're like proper outdoor family. She's not seen one of her best friends in this state. And I ring HQ and I say, I have to sleep for 20 minutes. I'm stopping here. I've got a friend here. Don't worry about me. She's got a car. I'm going to get in her car for 20 minutes because I thought I'm not going to finish this otherwise. Okay, I'll get in the back of her car. She stands over me, checking I'm still alive. And I keep waking up, she says, and going, is it time? She's like, it's been 2 minutes. Is it time? And she says, I'm making noises going, oh my leg. Anyway, we get out and she's obviously deeply concerned. She's got to let me go. But I'm like, how far is it? I'm desperate. How far is it? She's like, drop down this trail. You're going to run along. You're going to go under and over the overpass. And then you're going to go up Box Hill. You know all these trails, Eddie. And I'm like, I don't know. I got myself in I don't know where I am. I don't know. She can't do anything. She's going to leave me. Off you go, Eddie. There's no helping. You got to just, off I go. Shane heads off and he's running. Shane, you're a legend. I am. It's like, right, I'm going to do this. But the only way I'm going to be able to do this, there's no food gone in. The only way I'm going to be able to do this is by moving at the speed of a 90-year-old woman. But I know I'm going to finish if I move at that speed. Get in your cocoon and just keep moving forward. Keep moving. There's no ego. There's nothing left in Eddie, apart from the fact that I've got to get, I'm not going to finish. One job is to get to this finish. And so I put on an audiobook. I put my hood up. I looked down and I was like, there's no other thoughts. There's no other thoughts that are going to go into this apart from that you're going to get yourself to this finish line. You can do this. You can do this. And off I go. And that's exactly what I did. The Box Hill steps. A couple of times I thought I'm going to go over backwards. If I go over backwards, oh well. Stum, what a way to go. Celebrate. Got lost in the woods. I literally crawled myself. There was no glory. I was so embarrassed. I got to the finish line. They all came out, the whole Centurion family. Everybody came out. James got up, Emma got up, Hannah was there, Lindsay was there, everybody was there. And I was just like, this is...
Is it overwhelming? It must have been very overwhelming.
So overwhelming. I'm like, no, I don't. I just want to crawl in. Can we just... I was like, I just want to cry. I just want to lie down. I just don't want to be... It's just totally... You don't know what to say. And all the people are like, my gosh, well done. You think, yeah, totally overwhelmed. No emotion, nothing. Like no feeling of, I made it. Yeah, there's...
That changed over time, though. We got a few days to percolate.
How do I feel now about that? So before, when I've done these big races and the theme of has been nausea, and I've not done athletically as well as I wanted to do in this race, the fact I got myself to that finish, I'm very, very proud that I finished it. Everything was like, you can't do this, you can't do this. Shouting at that voice for over 60 hours of you can't do this that was my win. That was my win of that race, because
it's incredible.
And focusing on that, I'm not focusing on everything else is noise in the background. And that is just like, you did that. You made the choice to go uncrewed. You made that choice. And I was very lucky that I had some safety nets that came up, because that was massive. So I need to thank the people that did come out and help me and give me things to puke up. So the feelings are there. Yeah, fourth place in a time. I mean, the time is okay. I was hoping to do like low 60s, and it was like mid 60s. So, actually it wasn't could have been catastrophic, but it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter, because I finished. I finished feeling that I could go home. I could go home on the train and be like, go home and see everybody and be like, yeah, I've shown my kids. What I showed my kids there was what I bang on about every week of like, is it hard? You find that a bit hard, do you? Yeah, carry on, Oh, it didn't go the way you planned. Oh, get on with it.
Did they give you any kudos, the kids?
Why did you do this, Mum? You haven't got a trophy this time, Mum, they said. I said, no, I didn't get a trophy this time. And they said, it's okay. You've got the trophy in your heart, Mum.
Oh, goodness.
That's what it's all about. So,
when a kid says something like that, it's 100% genuine. If I was to say those words, I'd be a bit like, but when a child,
it comes out of child's mouths. My gosh, yeah. Thank you. I cannot thank we thought we had love when I did the spine and the Northern Traverse, but my goodness me, I think people felt me, Gary. I felt heard. I felt listened to. I think people saw the dot and they saw it suffering. If you could see a dot suffering, if you could put a light on that dot, or as we always laughed, put emojis on the dot, I think people could see how hard I was having to go. And I think that resonated with a lot of people. And I everybody listening to this, everybody that sent messages, and I feel you, I hear you, and I thank you very much. And I hope you don't have to do something like this. Don't feel that you have to put yourself through something like this. But I hope if ever you do, that my thoughts, perhaps knowing somebody else has been there, knowing that you can do really hard, horrible things. I haven't got to the why of I've done that to myself yet.
It was wonderful seeing the Facebook group. Just, I'm very invested in you. But I didn't really get involved in the chat, but yeah, just watching.
No, I knew, and I'm almost grateful that you didn't. Gary, I knew you were there. You were there.
I feel a bit awkward asking this question, actually, because you've obviously done really long races compared to what I have, but a similar journey as far as nausea is concerned. And I'm scared to go into have another Leighton 100, have another 13 valleys.
No, I said that to Bryn. I said, that's it. I'm done with that. I'm done with that nausea journey. I'm done with that. I can't do that to myself again. I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that to myself again. I have to. But there's not even an answer to go and go, Well, if you do this, you do this.
Well, this is it, yeah.
There's no answer to it. So
I'm fascinated though, the whole just comparing our different triggers, how you could eat, but then it would come back. My trigger was literally, as soon as we go near my lips, it was... So there's no answer.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is any answer. No.
Oh, Eddie, you told it. Well, it wasn't a wonderful story. You told it really well. I really appreciate you sharing it. And wow, my goodness me. Like I said, you see the dot and you do get a little bit of an idea, maybe what's going on. I was fortunate, I had a bit of feedback from people who were, Andrea messaged me and Phil messaged me. But yeah, you can't really appreciate what it's like to be in the trenches. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Have you got the energy for your quick five, Eddie?
I know, gosh. Do you think that was the worst interview ever?
Well,
Maybe
I feel like I really
waited another couple of days.
No, I think honestly, this is really weird. If I was your son and you were reading me a bedtime story, you would tell a sensational story. I would absolutely.
I do sensational bedtime stories. I am going to do all the voices, really get into them. That Gruffalo.
Your face, you were looking at me like, where the hell is this going? Okay, try and keep it like this for these quick five.
Yeah, gosh,
favorite. It doesn't have to be a favorite, but yeah, kind of like a go-to or your favorite Christmas movie.
Oh, well, it's true. Love Actually for the older generation. So we did just watch that with Evie, but we had to put the cushion down for the inappropriate booby moments.
I wonder who's more embarrassed, you or Evie?
Oh no, Evie loves it. Love Actually. I love The Snowman. That is people might say that's a TV thing, but I love the music and the story. I love the bit in The Snowman at the beginning when he's walking his dog and it's before the cartoon starts and the crows are flying and it's a proper winter morning. And I thought of it a lot as I was running because a lot of it was like that, like crows of like proper farm English countryside. Love that.
I saw I think it was Jamie Oliver doing his Christmas cooking, maybe on one of the cooking channels, and he does this get ahead gravy. So basically, I suppose you've got to cook your turkey, if you're going to have a turkey, your day before and be all prepped like that, or is everything going in the oven in the morning?
Everything is happening on about 2 hours before the lunch. Why prep? No, just spend the day peeling a carrot. It's part of the day, isn't it? My mum's incredible. She gets everything. She makes like all the stuffings and everything. Everything's ready days before. Me and Bryn, we're down Tesco's Christmas Eve.
What was it? We watched some program last night and the turkey had the bacon on the top. George said, I've never seen a turkey with the bacon on the top before. And I'm like, oops, you need to come in the kitchen on Christmas Day morning. Doesn't make it out. All right. Oh, this isn't so fun times, actually. Would you rather watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or spend the afternoon on a fishing boat? Oh,
afternoon on a fishing boat. That is how much I would not want to watch that film.
Wow. You must Are the dogs allowed on your new sofas yet?
Still, I almost cracked yesterday, Gary. I was all snuggly on a new sofa under my blanket, and Lindy was like moving in. She's like, feel my ears.
She's weak. Get in there.
Totally. But only because Bryn's away, I didn't crack. But I reckon do I care that much about my sofa? I don't think I do, Gary. I think I need to snuggles. Like not precious, yeah.
When you're pushing up the daisies, nobody's going to remember how nice your sofa was. That's what I always think.
You're going to say nobody's going to remember me. I was like,
Okay, every time we share our podcast over on Instagram, Facebook, or somewhere else on the internet. But you get the choice, Eddie. You can choose our Instagram story music. What's it going to be?
Okay, so I would really like, this is what I really like, but this isn't what was going to go on. Hannah sent me about halfway around the Spotify link to Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dream Coach. Go, 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 Joe. Joe. Go, 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 Joe. Oh my God. There's a very niche market for people that would want to run listening to that song, and Hannah and I are there. And it made me laugh so much. So I did listen to that bit, but that's not going to be my song, because the song I think has to be a little bit more meaningful and something that I listen to, but also something that I love the lyrics to. And but you won't know this, but it's called Leave a Light On by Tom Walker. And it was the lyrics. And I said these lyrics over in my head quite a long a lot of times, and it says, if you look into the distance, there's a house upon the hill, guiding like a lighthouse. It's a place where you'll be safe to feel our grace, because we've all made mistakes if you've lost your way. And then the chorus is, I will leave the light on. Doon, 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 doon. And I thought that is the words are exactly. I spent a lot of time looking for the house upon the hill with the light on, but it was a lot as well of the light of my family going, just keep looking. It's there. It's there. It's going to guide you home. Just keep looking. Yeah. And everybody else listening as well. That light of like, come on, Eddie.
I love it. You can't, it's not physical. It's kind of just knowing that support's out there. It's so powerful.
Next race, I'm going to do a 40K during the day.
Teen Trails Ultra.
Teen Trails Ultra. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be lovely. And I'm going to love it. And the race report's going to go, I said, brilliant. So if you come through this trauma with me, happy Christmas.
Well, thanks again, Eddie. I loved it. I'm pretty sure everybody else will love hearing your story too. Thanks a lot. Take care. Thanks for sharing, Eddie. We're in a unique situation where we might not want to share our story. I imagine, kudos to Martin Wilson and Emma Stewart, the winners for the race. And Emma's been on the podcast before. I know Martin. I've done a few runs with Martin, and Martin, Robbo nursed Martin and I, Little 100 this year, 2024.
That Martin.
Yeah. So people bounce back. My goodness me, he came back big time. But I could ask Martin. He's such a lovely guy. But I'm pretty sure if I said to Martin, do you want to come on and share your story with the Teen Trails listeners, he would be horrified by the prospect of that. Correct me, Martin Magus, if you want to come on, you could. But we don't have that luxury. So we have to just kind of zip it up and share our story, even if we don't want to. So I appreciate it, and I'm pretty sure everybody else appreciates it too. Thank you, SHOKZ, for sponsoring our Strava Club and Tales from the Trail section. I'm in the trenches, Eddie. I'm doing my YouTube reviews. I keep saying the review will be out soon, but I am currently working on the SHOKZ Open Run Pro and the Open Fit Air headphones. So hopefully, these reviews will be out soon. If you are in the market for a pair of headphones, maybe, a late Christmas present for someone special, then head over to UKShokz.com. May actually work other countries too, and use the code TEA10 for £10 off your purchase. First up, Ben Ashmore. Request to follow, Ben. So sorry we can't see what you've been up to, but still, longest run of 21.5 miles. I would say I'd be marathon training for that. Mind you, he's done a pretty decent amount of vert, so it might just be a lovely big long run on the weekend with his mates. But 70.3 miles for the week. Longest run of 21.5 miles and 6,591 feet of vert. Next up is Helen Rivar, Malaga. You're laughing. I'm trying my best, Eddie. Malaga Marathon. This is right at my street. Malaga Marathon. Wow. Go for a run. Kick your heels back then and enjoy a bit of winter sunshine. 114.6 miles for the week. Longest run of 26.6. And still, 6,130 feet of vert. Wonder how long she's going to be spending in Malaga. Have a fantastic time, Helen. Last up, Tom M. Also a request to follow. 56.5 miles for the week. Longest run of 13.5.
People are crushing it.
Yeah, 3,317 feet of vert too. We've got a heavy flex. Hey guys, I'd like to nominate. It's not always about you.
You sound just like Bryn.
As I was saying that, I'm thinking, don't say it, Gary. Hey guys, sorry, Eddie. Hey guys, I'd like to nominate Sean Dyer for this week's Heavy Flex. This year, Sean has completed the Centurion 100 Grand Slam and the Winter Downs 200. His Winter Downs 200 story is a lesson of endurance after his ankle started to swell up at mile 75. He considered throwing the towel in, but realising he had plenty of time to finish in the 96-hour cutoff and could complete by by slowing down and pushing through. He did just that. His ankle and blisters got progressively worse, but his strong mindset and can-do attitude meant he battled through the pain and hallucinations to finish in 89 hours and 16 minutes. As a bad boy runner, he even managed his finish line press-ups. Oh my goodness me. Kudos to the front of the packers who are setting records for this event, but special recognition needs to be given to the likes of Sean and others who are taking up to 2 more days and long nights to get over that line. True endurance. Sean, Ali and I ran the first 50 miles together, and the time flew by supporting each other and chatting away to pass the miles. Sean was kind enough to let Ali and me help ourselves to his crew supplies to see us through. What a legend. All in all, a true lesson of endurance and perhaps stupidity to battle through such a long event and maintain the willingness to move forward and get over the line. Kudos, Sean, and thanks to Jamie Grant for sending this in. If you've got a heavy flex, email in. If someone you know has heavy flex, maybe you think, you know what, I'm flexing. We can't promise to read them all out.
Gary, you can't keep emailing. Look at my flex. Hashtag.
Currently, we will read
rate
them
my
all
flex.
out. Yeah. Rate my flex.
Hashtag watch it bulge.
Email in to hello@teaandtrails.com and put heavy flex in the subject section. Tales from the trails.
A friend and I had been planning an adventure to alleviate life-work stresses and had stumbled upon the Snowdon 6. 6 different paths to descend Snowdon. Our plans were made, GPS routes aligned and a date set. We'd planned to meet at one car at the finish location and drive and park at the start in Llanberis. We set off with our head torches at 5:30am with lots of chatting and bags laden with treats and snacks for our 26 miles. Spirits were high. The first path was the easiest, of course, Llanberis. We summited after sunrise in thick clouds, so we didn't hang around. A quick chat with some other disappointed that they hadn't had an inversion today and took the ranger path down. It was pretty cold and keen to stay warm. We decided to not check which path and crack on off the top. Eventually we began to warm up and we realised that as our paths overlapped on our GPS, we'd actually started descending in the wrong order. Never mind, we will just come back up as planned on the nearest path and correct our route and check we will enter our car. We descended down to Riddu village and began the ascent on the Riddu path. Weather was improved and it cleared to reveal the most incredible views of the lake that lies just below the path. Snacking and chatting away, we were on Clyde 9. As we got nearer the top, the cloud began to surround us and we assumed that would be it for the day. As we got to the top and summited, the cloud cleared to reveal the most spectacular cloud inversion. A sight so stunning we both stood and stared in wonder. Once at the top, we decided these sandwiches, vegan, cheese and pickle, needed eating and sat over looking at Crib Goch just off the summit. Now, Crib Goch wasn't on our agenda today. We both shared stories we'd heard about Crib Goch, and once the conversation paused, we could both hear each other's thoughts. It's a clear, still and dry day. My friend planned to do it in a few weeks. Would the weather be as good then? It's in the Dragon's Back, so it can't be that technical, can it? We both sat in silence, thinking how beautiful it looked and how exciting the prospect of completing it would be. The magic took hold, and my friend uttered these words out loud. You know, the path over Crib Goch merged with the pig track. I assumed wrongly that she'd been on Crib Goch before, and she had lots of experience in the mountains and climbing, so she must know. I buried these gut feelings of this being a bad idea and decided that my inner health and safety officer was cramping my style. To this point, I had no to little scrambling experience, and we discussed this. The consensus was we could just turn back and go and have a small detour. It started pretty well, and I found my scrambling legs pretty quickly. 4 points of contact, foot, hand, step. We stopped and enjoyed the cloud inversion and a rainbow a few more times before disappearing into the cloud again. We managed fine on the first bit, and I assumed wrongly that was it, and we needed to find the path down. Then out of the cloud came a huge pile of rocks. We hobbled for a bit until another couple of people came along. We chatted briefly and they started to climb and we followed. My progress had begun to slow down and this was much more difficult for me. My friend talked me through patiently and kept me moving forward. The path is just over the next bit, she promised. It wasn't. And hours after she'd said that the last time, I realised we might be in a bit of a pickle. The ridge got narrower and the drops more severe. My knees bashed several times on the rocks, were throbbing loudly now. My legs had started shaking and my hands were tired. I froze several times in fear. My progress was slow. Even my friend who was confident a while back was quiet and slow moving. I was way out of my depth and I was beginning to get at myself for allowing us to go off plan. The hours had just suddenly evaporated. The ridge flattened a tiny bit and we sat down on my insistence for a break. A snack. Thanks, Eddie. Oh, that is brilliant. And to think what to do. We were lost. The noises of others had stopped, and what we had just climbed was looking impossible to get back over. To make matters worse, my phone had died and my cable wasn't working with my battery pack. On my friend's phone, we decided at 4:30 to call for assistance. Mountain Rescue was called and they located us. They gave us directions to get down. They told us we'd missed the path some 150 metres from where we were, but we climbed the most challenging part already, and the best and easiest way down was continuing forward and down a scree slope to a flatter bit of ground. They told us to wait there whilst their team came for us to guide us down. We slid down off the ridge and found where they told us to wait within 30 minutes of the phone call. We got in our bivvy bags and put on all our layers and refueled. A quick call to my husband to let him know of the situation with my tail between my legs, and they arrived. 4 lads on foot. We couldn't have been more elated to see them. They were incredible, very supportive and non-judgmental. Another 45 minutes, I forgot to record this, of hiking through boglands and rocks, and we arrived back on the road. They kindly gave us a lift back to our car and we got on our way. Lesson learned, and feeling like a pair of naughty schoolgirls, we reflected on our day. We did have the right kit, but not the skills or knowledge to carry it off. We'd gone wrong and missed the path of the pig track and carried on the northern ridge and descended it. It could have been so much worse and quickly had gone very wrong. Since then, we discussed going on a skills course, and I've signed up onto an introduction to skyrunning and a climbing course. Though it was scary, I'm 100% hooked. Please look after yourselves out there, especially on the mountains. Thank you to Mountain Rescue. We both have pledged to raise some money on our next adventure to pay back our debt. Tail firmly between my legs, Jess M. Oh, I don't think your tail should be firmly between your legs. Maybe for a couple of days, but I think that's a very brave thing to send it into the nation's favourite podcast. But your reflection has already been done, Jess. You look back where you made those decisions. Changing plans in the mountains, unless it's a change of plan because you're going down, changing the route because of the weather, changing to do a more adventurous, harder, different course than you planned, 99.9% of the time is never a good idea. But you did do something right, is when it got really tough, you stopped and you ate. So you then did make good decisions and you decided to call Mountain Rescue and you got yourselves down. At the end of the day, you got yourselves down. You survived and now you're taking your on. So your journey, though it was a little bit, I can imagine that was just awful, but also now your journey is going into doing courses and educating yourself, and also perhaps people listening to this as well might be
I'd want to bury this. I'd want to bury this story, but maybe someone's listening thinking and the power of the group as well, of like, shall we do it, and everybody going yes, and that person going, actually I've never done anything like this, not to be scared to go, I don't want to do this, I'm not ready for this. So I think that's incredible, and I think that's a great story. Thank you for sharing it. It's one that will live with me, and I expect lots of others as well. It's the same as the Elsie Davis one where her head torch ran out of battery and she couldn't get herself off the hill, and I always think of that when I'm like, you always got to have, it's a good metaphor, could be on one of our t-shirts, always have a spare battery. Always have a spare battery. Please keep your Tales from Tales coming in. They are lovely. I love reading the stories. Just send them over to us at hello at teaandtrails.com with the subject tale Deals from the Trails. Here's our little choir boy bringing us a hot review. A hot
I'm
review. Dearest Eddie and Gary, if I could give you a 10-star review, I absolutely would. I've managed to leave you the meager 5 stars it allows on Spotify, but it doesn't let me leave a written review. So I thought I would just send it to you because really it's a thank you as well. Feels like you've become my friends in the 4 months since I discovered the Tea and Trails podcast. I've never yet listened to an episode without laughing out loud. Many have reduced me to tears, and I've never failed to find something in the episode that has helped me on my ultra journey. Without your wonderful podcast, I might not have made it to the end of the epic adventure that was Lakes and Day 2024. Only my second ultra. Wow. From kit to nutrition to being mentally prepared, the words of wisdom I found on Tea and Trails really have made the difference. Whether it was via Brew with the Coaches, your own stories and journeys, Eddie, your spine journey is my absolute favourite episode ever. Yes, I'm working through the back catalogue now. Or those of your guests, the simple tip of setting an alarm to eat on my watch. I think that was you, Gary. Wow, brilliant. What I love the most about Tea and Trails is that it really is for everyone. I'm not a fast front runner, quite the opposite, but you make it so inclusive and everything you talk about is relevant no matter if you're at the front or the back of a race. You tackle issues that are important to everyone, runner or not, and for that, I commend you. You're also refreshingly honest about life and constant struggles to balance everything, and that it's okay to not always be okay. Please keep doing what you're doing, because without you, I would never have learned to breathe and believe and recognize progress, not perfection. For this and everything else, I thank you. An avid listener and Patreon, Emily. I get a bit...
I get a bit emotional.
I do. I get a bit emotional when I read stuff like that. Wonderful. Thanks, Emily. Thanks for that. And we love your reviews, and it is really important to help the podcast grow. So yeah, pop over to iTunes or Spotify and please leave a 5-star review. We've got our Phoenix Light competition winners. Thanks to everyone who entered. Wow, I absolutely love all those pictures. First out of the bag was Gareth Swain. Second out was Anne Harrell. Yeah, thanks everyone who entered, and thanks again to Phoenix Light for providing the prizes. Next up is another awesome competition from our partner, SHOKZ. Tune in next week for all the deets. What you got coming up, Eddie? I imagine just surviving, fighting fires.
Oh my goodness me. Every time, Gary, we've done this numerous times together now, as my mum and dad say. This is the last time. You're never doing this again. The last couple of times when I've come back, I've then gone straight into single parenting mode. The only difference this time, thank goodness, is that my kids are already on holiday, so I haven't had to do school runs. And they're that little bit older, a little bit more caring, a little bit less needy, a little bit more, I'll make lunch, mum, I'll clear up. Oh, your feet are disgusting. Just a little bit more aware that mum is... One did say, why do you do this to yourself, mum? Why do you do this to yourself? And I question that. That is the message of this week post these big races, isn't it? Is like, wow, it is. I mean, getting myself home was so... Oh, the bag. Could I have FedExed my bag home? I missed my connecting train because I could not walk fast enough. It was 15 minutes. God. I could not get the bag up the stair, along the platform, up the stairs, along, downstairs to the next. I just couldn't walk. I couldn't walk that fast. And then I walked halfway up the stairs and the bag's so heavy on my back. I was like, if I one step back and I fell back. But in my head, I was like, but I could fall back and then people would lift me up and help me. So the journey home was just, and then Bryn's had gone straight back to work. So then it just the clear up operation of mum being away for a week. Breathe and believe, Eddie. I am now day 3, I think, and just the washing machine has not stopped the folding of the laundry. But I just take it, I chunk it like I do with the race, the recovery. This recovery, 2 things have hurt more than normal. My toe joints, my big toe joints are so painful. My legs have got this like pain of, it feels like they've been hit really hard for some reason. And the other thing that's, well, my undercarriage, Gary, is in such a terrible state that it's keeping me awake at night.
I don't know where to go from there.
When you've had a baby, my fellow female baby pushers out there, or your wife has had a baby and you know what that looks like and you know how that feels and you need a hemorrhage pillow to sit on, it's in that same sort of state. I don't really know how that's happened, but it's awful. And yes, we don't talk about that. That doesn't go on Instagram, does it? Picture of my... No, it should never go on Instagram. So I am just, this week, gosh, this is hard. But what's approaching? Get into Christmas. My sister and I have given ourselves the gift of no Christmas presents to each other's families. She's recently had her second baby and gone back to work full time as a very important doctor. And she's just said, I don't know what's happened. And I'm like, do you know what? Let's just give each other the gift of a bit of grace and just send each other Christmas joy rather than Christmas presents. And she was like, you sure? I was like, yeah, like what do we need? Please let's just leave it and let's do something lovely in the new year when we're both functioning adults for different reasons. So obviously no running for Eddie. I've just got to allow this recovery process to happen. And every time it does it, we've all been here with me many times before now. I think I am never doing this again. This is so horrendous. Oh, this time next week I'll be going, wasn't that bad. Feel pretty good now. My aim is hopefully to be able to do a little Christmas Day jog, but let's just see. So it'll be definitely 10 days of literally nothing. I always forget as well how sore I am. And it's a very different soreness there's no DOMS. It's not like muscle soreness. It is my bones, and whether that's age as well, but I feel like my deep and of course that fatigue, you don't sleep, you lose all that sleep, and then I haven't had a proper night's sleep yet because the body is still like out there on the trails.
It's weeks.
So Grace but I'm so lucky that I've got Christmas, where you could be a bit blue and a bit I feel rubbish in life. I've got Christmas to a lovely family Christmas in our new home, and a very different from us this year because we're somewhere completely different. It's a big change, completely different vibe, but we're going to embrace it. We're giving ourselves, just like the Christmas presents, a bit of grace. Who decided it was a good idea to run a 200 miles, not only just before Christmas, but when you've moved your whole family across the country? When Bryn said, do you think that's a good idea? Maybe I should have listened to him, but we didn't. So we're going to deal with it. I don't even know if we're going to get a turkey, Gary. I think we might be having a chicken. We haven't done. Mum was like, have you not ordered your turkey? I was like, I'm just going to go Tesco's. And she was like, I don't think you're going to get a turkey. I said, just a chicken. The kids don't care, do they? They just want the roast potatoes and ketchup.
So bad news about the undercarriage, but good news about the grace.
Is that the tagline for the podcast? You have got TDH, exciting.
Oh, somebody texts me, a friend texts me, say, you look forward to
if you got that slight, I know. I hear you, my friend.
It'd be wonderful. The route, the event is wonderful, but my head is just not into doing a race. I thought this last year, but I think I might have had COVID, or not last year, sorry, whenever I did it last time. I was definitely poorly because it felt really hard work. I remember going for a wee and the group just dropping me. I was like, oh God, literally I've got a sprint for 200 meters to catch everybody up. I don't want it to be that kind of day. If it's that kind of day, I'll just kind of wave them goodbye and do my own thing. But I think we're all just the plan is we're going to stay together and enjoy the day, how long that takes. I've looked at the forecast. This is not fun times. This is Helvellyn, so this is the extreme. Glenridden wasn't much better, but Helvellyn is -3 and 44-mile-an-hour gusts with mist and rain.
50 mile an hour is our cut off, Gary. 44, your feet will still just about be on the ground. You will be crouching. You'll take the Ninja Turtle pose. 4 points of contact, but it's just over 50. That's when you lose the ability to actually.
What was the wind like when you were at Grisdale Town for the Northern Traverse? So it can get super windy there.
Yeah. You'll be fine. It wasn't that cold. It wasn't -3.
No, goodness me. But that is Helvellyn. We're a couple hundred metres below that. Early days, though, wow, it could all change. It all change to the weekend. Yeah, say hello if you see me. If you're a Patreon, you can approach. If you're not...
They've got the special handshake, haven't they? Because when you log on to Patreon, there's a special, that...
It's a bit kind of bittersweet to Helvellyn. Lisa and George are going to Scotland to get Esme to bring her home for Christmas. Yeah, I'm not going because I'm a 2-day Helvellyn.
My first term when I came home from uni, my mum still tells me this. I got off the train and she said, "Woo, you've had a good time." Because I think I had put on a little bit of holiday weight. And then I got the worst chest infection. I loved university, so I embraced everything university, Gary. And I had I brought home the worst chest infection, and it's still the Christmas that goes down in history that I gave everybody.
You made everybody ill.
I made everybody so ill with my fat ass, my big cough. Oh, the Schweitzers will be all together for Christmas.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you're out in your Christmas runs, if you're out doing your markathons, keep on going. We love you. Please share the pod, share the love, pop over to YouTube, pop onto Spotify, like, subscribe, and share. Thanks to Precision Fuel Hydration, SHOKZ, X Miles Beta Run, and Protein Rebel for sponsoring this week's show. Remember the new customer discount codes: T10 for SHOKZ, T15 for Protein Rebel, and T24 for Precision Fuel Hydration. Thanks to our partners and Patreons too. A Christmas kiss under the mistletoe coming right at you. Yeah, I'm not shy.
No
You
tongues.
up, everybody. Well,
You know, a delivery driver said to me the other day as he delivered my
no
parcel,
tongues. Oh my God.
"Have a good day, sir." I thought that was sensational. He wasn't even old. He was a young guy. "Have a good day, sir."
Well, that's because he
Me
thought
up.
you were old. He was like, oh, I dropped a box at a real old guy's house. He had this like cap on. He obviously thought it was
He
like
looked
him
lonely.
with the kids.
He had red shorts on.
There was something in the shorts. I think it was a gherkin.
Let the trail rise to meet you and the wind always be on your back. Be kind to your future self, breathe and believe, and progress, not perfection. My name is Gary Thwaites,
And I'm Eddie Sutton.
and that was episode 100 of the Tea and Trails podcast.